Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Gao Wu era. After binding the school beauties, I lay down and won. Chapter 21. What a stupid tip, but I like hehehehe. Shu Lin's eyes lit up after reading the prompt. Obviously, this must be another big-headed warrior with a baby, otherwise the prompt from the Eye of Truth would not be so impatient. Su Shalwa. There are warriors nearby, hurry up and hide. Watch me perform. As soon as she heard Shu Lin's words, Su Lingyan twitched the corners of her mouth. No need to ask, this guy is definitely going to cheat again. You haven't fully recovered your blood yet, don't use your combo, I'll do it later. Well, then look at my gestures. It is good. Su Lingyan lightly tapped her head, and the blast mangling surrounded her, her talent, Wufang. Like a gentle breeze swaying, she quietly hid in the gray fog while her figure swayed. As soon as she walked away with her forefoot, she heard Shu Lin's screams behind her. Oh, help, is there any kind-hearted warrior big brother and sister nearby to save me? Wu, I'm still a child, I don't want a dog. Su Lingyan. At this time, the other side of the gray fog. A middle-aged warrior walks in the strange forest, the corner of his mouth can't hide the joy. He just picked up a strange weed without any effort, and felt that his fortune was flourishing tonight, and he was about to see if he could get any more harvests. From the depths of the gray fog, a heart-piercing scream came from afar. Ah! The middle-aged warrior sneered, thinking that he was a rookie warrior, and he didn't understand the tone of the warrior in the dream space. Save you. If you don't make up for it, you will be merciful and merciful. Back then, he had just started cultivating martial arts. When I entered the dream space, I wanted to have a good time in the world, but in the blink of an eye, I was severely educated by the cruel reality. He finally came across an opportunity, and just after getting it, he relaxed his guard in the warm greetings of a warrior he met by chance. As a result, he was sneak attacked by the martial artist and stabbed in the lower back, and the chance to get it was also taken away. The more you think about it, the more angry you get. The middle-aged warrior scolded lowly, and didn't even intend to pay attention to the screaming guy. But when he was about to turn his head, the screams from the distance changed again. Ah, what a big mouse. Don't come here. The chi and blood fruit I finally found. I can't just die like this. Hearing the words, chi and blood fruit, the middle-aged warrior suddenly stopped and his eyes lit up. Ha ha ha, today is really my lucky day. This idiot actually has the fruit of chi and blood on his body. No, it's not your chi and blood fruit. I'm sorry, it's mine. The middle-aged warrior did not hesitate, and immediately turned his footsteps and swept in the direction of the scream. Standing there, Shu Lin shouted so much that his throat was smoking, and he finally saw the prompts in front of him began to change. He's here, he's here. He came running with the baby. The courier is already running on the ground, please be patient. A new victim has appeared, why don't you send him home quickly? Shu Lin didn't have time to complain, and directly gestured to Su Lingyan, who was hiding in the gray fog. Afterwards, he continued to possess his acting skills, lying on the ground and wailing in pain. Whoops, my elbows. Whoops, my porridge. As soon as he shouted a few times, he saw an unshaven middle-aged warrior emerge from the gray fog with a look of joy. Seeing Shu Lin, who was wailing on the ground, and looked up, he quickly put away the smile from the corner of his mouth and put on a righteous face and said, "Don't be afraid, little brother. I'm here to help you. Quickly give your chi and blood fruit. Cough, tell me, where is that fierce beast?" Shu Lin got up with difficulty, and looked at the middle-aged warrior who competed with him in acting skills, showing a panicked expression. "Uncle, don't come here. Are you trying to steal my baby?" "Hey, how could it be? Believe in the uncle is a good man." The middle-aged warrior squeezed out a kind smile. "Then why are you holding a knife?" "Cough, this. As a martial artist, it is reasonable for me to carry a knife with me." "Then why are you smiling so wretchedly?" "Little brother, you read it wrong, this is a caring smile. In short, you hurry up and hand me the chi and blood fruit." The middle-aged warrior can't hold it anymore. This kid talks too much, buzzing like a fly. Auntie can bear it, but uncle can't bear it. Hey hey hey. The middle-aged warrior walked towards Shu Lin with the knife, grinning and grinning strangely. However, Shu Lin said calmly, "Uncle, didn't you just ask me where the beast is?" The middle-aged warrior was stunned. Where? Behind you. Shu Lin grinned. In the next second, I only felt a chill that was icy to extreme from far to near. Hey! A sharp blade pierced into flesh and blood. Before the middle-aged warrior could react, a sharp pain came from his lower back. Looking down, a small silver-white sword tip penetrated from his right abdomen. Clap, clap, drops of warm blood dripped from the blade. Why, you all like it, jerk my waist. After saying this sentence with full of resentment, the middle-aged warrior with strong resentment, a little bit of consciousness, and then fell heavily to the ground. At the moment before death came, the picture of that year seemed to flash in his mind. Just like this time, the beginning was the same joyful, the ending was the same tragic, and the same waist injury. There seemed to be bursts of magic noises in his ears. I'm still the boy I used to be, and I haven't changed in the slightest. Pawn, yeah, why did you poke him in the waist? Shu Lin looked at the middle-aged warrior's tragic death, and felt a slight chill in his lower back. Su Lingyan had a cold expression on her face. Those who chop off their hands and heads are prone to splatter with blood, and the lower back is different. It is a fatal key, and it will not be too bloody. I learned. Shu Lin threw his hands in admiration. Then there is the fun part of collecting loot. Due to the special nature of the dream space, even the tedious and unhygienic link of touching a corpse can be skipped directly, just pick it up on the ground. A chi and blood bead, a lavender grass, no dream spirit. But it is also normal. There are only two situations in which a trainee martial artist can have a dream spirit. Uhuang warriors and rich second-generation warriors with mines at home. What kind of grass is this? What's the use? The scumbag Shu Lin asked again. The school god Su Lingyan raised her eyebrows. I'm lucky, this is a healing herb, which can nourish the soul of a warrior. It is a precious healing herb. Nourishing the soul, Shu Lin murmured. His heart jumped for no reason, and images suddenly flashed in his mind. It was a picture of a middle-aged man enduring the severe pain of the wounded soul all day long, and his expression was sluggish, but he still had to go out to work. That man's name was Shu Dashwan, and he was his father. A warrior who died many times while exploring the dream space, leaving serious sequelae and never recovered. But it seems to be able to change now. Give this herb to me, and the spoils next time will be yours. Shu Lin said. Oh, aren't you curious why? I'm not curious, but if you need the herb, there are more than a dozen in my family. Quote. School flower baby, is your family recruiting a son-in-law? Go away, don't call me that. Okay, school flower baby, no problem school flower baby. Quote. In the misty forest, Shu Lin quarreled with the school flower baby while continuing to search for the next victim in the forest. When this dream adventure is over, it's time to go home. Let mom and dad raise their eyebrows for a while, to save those relatives and neighbors from being weird every day. What kind of genius and evildoer, whoever comes is a nonsense. Gotta punch them in the face. Putting the Yangshan grass in his pocket, Shu Lin felt an indescribable sense of pride in his heart. I can finally do something for my family. Help. This world is terrible. Is there any kind uncle-aunt to help the children? What did you say I'm afraid of? Of course I'm afraid that you won't believe my acting skills. Hey, long sword into waist. Next, Shu Lin quickly picked up the spoils and went straight to the next field. Su Lingyan retracted her sword and sheathed it, and continued to hide with incomparable skill. Dreamland Space's unprecedented loss-making sale. Don't want 998, don't want 888. What? This guest, what do you want from me? Of course I want to send you home. Look at the sword. A certain unfortunate martial artist pulled out his weapon and looked at Shu Lin's waist. Look at me, I don't have a sword, I'm talking about the sword behind you. Shu Lin hated that iron was not steel. Subsequently, Shish, Feijian stabs the waist, sheath the sword. Su Shalwa took a set of operations and finished it smoothly. He glanced at Shu Lin. What are you still doing? Go on. Good guy, so impatient, the school flower baby will not be addicted to the waist, right? Who cares? Anyway, it's not my waist. Continue. A whole night of dream exploration slowly played GG in the laughter and brisk voice of Karma. After 7 hours of arduous performances, after killing an unknown number of warriors' waists, They captured more than a dozen chi and blood beads and 3 exotic flowers and plants that were not useful but could be sold for money. After dividing up the chi and blood beads, Shu Lin and Su Lingyan both soared to the 9th rank peak apprentice martial artist realm. It's a pity that the warriors in the pit all night are poor, and it's a dream that none of them have exploded. But come to Japan for a long time. Tomorrow night will be the main event. That mysterious high-level chance has already been born. At that time, it will be a real tough battle. And in the time when Shu Lin and Su Lingyan woke up from their dreams and went to school with a lot of harvest. In a forum dedicated to martial artists called Mangwu Sky, a huge wave suddenly erupted. The reason is because of the posting of a post in the early morning. Kneel down and appeal. Killing and stealing treasures is fine, but please spare the waist of a middle-aged warrior. Close double angle bracket. The poster is a middle-aged martial artist who has been posted on a forum for many years. Although his cultivation is mediocre, he is still a 9th rank apprentice martial artist in his 40s. However, because he speaks well and is very talented, many people know him, and they top posts for him immediately. Ha 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 ha, top 1. The uncle was actually beaten by the waist again. That's horrible. For a middle-aged man, waist is no different from hair. And this is just the first wave of this monstrous wave. Soon, several blood and tears complaint posts appeared in the forum one after another with almost the same experience. People are not old in the world. There was actually a team of warriors who attacked me, a fat man weighing more than 300 pounds. Close double angle bracket. I just glanced at him one more time in the woods, and when I turned around, I was slapped. Close double angle bracket. Where has the trust between people gone? The one-stop service promised, the result is a fairy jump. Close double angle bracket. Every post is a tragic experience of being fooled. Some encounter a teenager with a particularly unique scream, some encounter a teenager with a big dream sale, and one is even more outrageous. He actually said that the young man recommended him a big dream health care program, one-stop service. And behind these tragic experiences, there is a young man and a girl who is good at sneak attacking karma's waist. Finally, after these bitter masters got together, they were surprised to find that they encountered the same routine and the same combination. One stone creates 1,000 waves. It was 8 in the morning. There are already a full 16 victims in the forum claiming to have suffered the same scam, coming together to complain about the unethical behavior. They even formed an organization that night, the Kidney Guardian Alliance. And Shu Lin and Su Lingyan, the real culprits behind the evil side, have been dubbed male and female deceivers, call waste mad demon, etc. But this farce has no real results after all. This is the first time I saw a warrior who can form a team in the dream space. These two people are really big. It is estimated that I happen to meet a familiar friend in reality. I have to say that luck is really good. It won't take too long to be mad. When the next dream refresh time arrives, the single brush will have to be single. Such rhetoric represents the thinking of almost everyone, including a dozen or so victims, that it will soon be over. After all, when the teleportation location is refreshed in the dream space, no matter how perverted the combination will have to be self-defeating. The chance of such a coincidence encountering a martial artist friend who can be trusted in reality is close to 0, so we can't be teleported together again, right? No, no, no. Wouldn't anyone really believe this? Magic City. Wadong District. Early in the morning, the doorbell of Shu Lin's house rang. Ding dong, ding dong. Chen Shanshu, who was still making breakfast for her husband, turned her head and shouted to Shu Dashwan, who was thin on the sofa. Linlin's father, go and open the door, it must be Uncle Linlin and the others. Shu Dashwan rubbed his head with a reluctant expression. Why are they here this early in the morning? I heard that their family Chen was admitted to Mowu without examination. I guess they came to announce the good news. Chen Shanshu said. What is the good news? It's just to show off. When I see them, I'm going to have a headache. Shu Dashwan said dissatisfied. It's all right, just show it off, and by the way, help Linlin to ask if there is any way. Hearing that it might be useful to Shu Lin, Shu Dashwan got up and opened the door. Standing outside the door were Shu Lin's aunt and uncle and a slightly fat boy with a proud face. Shu Dashwan resisted the headache and warmly welcomed people in, and said. This is Chen, isn't it? I haven't seen each other for a few years, so I almost can't recognize it. Don't I have to go to school today? Hearing this, Aunt Shulin smiled wrinkled. Our family doesn't need to take the college entrance examination, so it's fine if you don't go to school. Where's Shulin's kid? Are you still going to school today? It's really hard. Quote. Yes, the kid said that the school has tutoring, and he didn't even have time to go home, so he was cramming. While Shu-Wan smiled, he secretly scolded himself for sending people to the door to make people angry. However, Aunt Shulin frowned and said, school counseling? No way, haven't heard of Yizhong's pre-college entrance exam counseling. Dashwan, don't blame me for talking too much. Linlin shouldn't be lying to you, right? This, shouldn't it be? Shu-Wan was also a little unconfident. Seeing this, Aunt Shulin frowned and said, Da-Chuan, I'm going to tell you a few words about this. This is educating children. You must not let your guard down, let alone believe what children say. Aren't there still few children who go astray? Especially like that child in Linlin, who is a monkey spirit, and a monkey spirit, you have to take good care of it. In this regard, Chen Chen saved us a lot of trouble, and was admitted to Modu Martial Arts University without a word, ha 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 ha. Shu-Wan's face almost stiffened when he heard this, but he could only accompany him with a smile. Yes, yes. Congratulations. At this moment, boom, suddenly there was a loud bang outside the window, followed by screams of horror from the crowd. The expressions of several people in the room changed, and they quickly looked out the window. I saw gravel splashing on the road in the downstairs community, dense smoke and dust, and several cars parked on the road were overturned on both sides. In the middle of the road, a bottomless pit suddenly appeared. In the pit, a strange roar came out. Shu-Wan's face changed dramatically. Alien invasion. What? Isn't the alien race eliminated long ago? How could it suddenly appear again? Aunt Shulin's face turned pale with fright and screamed. Shu Chen, who had been silent and rebellious, had panic written all over his face at this moment, and his fat body couldn't stop shaking. Shu-Wan didn't bother to pay attention to them at this time, his eyes were as sharp as eagles, staring at the deep pit. Roar, only to hear another roar. In the unfathomable pit, a huge animal claw stretched out. Immediately, in the unbelievable eyes of everyone, the beast revealed his true body. This is a giant lizard with a length of 5 or 6 meters, dark green all over, and disgusting mucus. Help, the aliens have invaded. Run, save me, who will save me? My legs are weak. In the community, there was a sudden scream of ghosts and wolf howls. By the window, Shu-Wan's pupils shrank suddenly. This is a steel-clawed monitor lizard. What steel-claw monitor lizard? What kind of monster is this? Son, you are an apprentice martial artist at the peak of the 8th rank. You must have killed such a beast in the dream space, right? Aunt Shulin grabbed the corner of her son's clothes and said hopefully. But Shu Chen's whole body had already been shaken into a sieve, and he shook his head desperately. No, no, I have never seen such a beast. This is the second-order fierce beast in the dream world, which is equivalent to the formal human warrior state. It's normal for him to have never seen it before, Shu-Wan said. Hearing this, Shu Chen trembled even more, wishing to collapse directly on his mother. Mom, let's run. A second-order beast. It's a second-order beast. I'm afraid I can't even hold its paws. At this moment, Shu-Wan's voice came coldly. Run, where are you going? Send it to its mouth. Although I don't know why it appeared here, from the moment it appeared, we were doomed to be impossible to escape. Shu-Wan, don't be alarmist. How can you refute my son's words? Aunt Shulin was already hysterical by this time. Hearing this, Shu-Wan turned his head and his eyes were extremely indifferent. Yes, I am a waste, but at least I am a warrior who dares to stand in front of the beast and kill him. If you want to run, I won't stop you, but when you arrive at the underworld, don't blame me for not reminding you. At this time, Chen Shanshu, who had just walked out of the kitchen, heard Shu-Wan's words, and her face turned pale. Da-Chuan, don't be impulsive. Your old injury is not healed yet, so you can't use the power of blood. The military administration will come soon, you must not. It's only halfway through. Gah! It was interrupted by a strange noise outside the window. Everyone looked at the probe, their faces were instantly pale as paper, and they collapsed to the ground. I saw that the huge steel-clawed monitor lizard was climbing up quickly along the wall outside their building. That hideous and ugly head was very clear at this moment. It seems to be looking for them. Seeing this, the smile on Shu Dashwan's mouth was extremely bitter. It's not that I'm impulsive, but that the second-order beasts already possess some intelligence. It will actively look for the person with the highest blood concentration nearby, and give priority to attacking the person who is most threatening to him. I used to be a martial artist, and Shu Chen was an 8th rank apprentice, so it's impossible to run. This is the end of the matter, Shu Chen. Forget it, I can't count on you, Shanshu, you take them down the corridor first, and I'll break it for you. Shu Dashwan glanced at Shu Chen, who was paralyzed like mud, and shook his head. Turning around, he looked at the steel-clawed monitor lizard that was constantly approaching outside the window, and the blood that had been silent for many years in his body suddenly surged. The momentum around him kept rising. Rank 1 apprentice, Rank 5 apprentice, Rank 9 apprentice. Boom. Astonishing. The weather was full of blood. At this moment, Shu Dashwan returned to the martial artist realm. Behind him, Chen Shanshu was willing to leave, but she stared blankly at her husband who seemed to be young and high-spirited again. 2 lines of clear tears slowly flowed from the corners of his eyes. At the same time, Magic City No. 1 Middle School, Class 3 and 4 of Senior High School. Shu Lin was yawning, bored listening to the class, and fell asleep. Suddenly, there was a rush of footsteps that were so fast that they were about to fly. Immediately, a shadowy figure rushed into the classroom, grabbed the confused Shu Lin, and dragged him out of the classroom. I'm sorry teacher, I'm in a hurry to find Shu Lin. At the same time that Su Lingen apologized, the two had disappeared from the classroom. All that was left were the stunned students and the young male teacher. As expected of the school flower, the way is too wild. It's like this yesterday, it's like this today, so often. Is Brother Lin able to handle it? I heard that Brother Lin was so weak yesterday that he lay in the infirmary all day. The case is solved. Schoolmaster Su, what are you doing? Why do you come here once a day? Shu Lin has a problem with this overly aggressive behavior. I just received the news that there is an alien invasion, and the location is in the Wudong community where your parents are. Su Lingen's anxious voice fell, and Shu Lin felt a buzzing in his head, his blood pouring frantically, reaching the sky. Grass. Next second, Yulong Jing Hong Bu instantly ran to the limit. Shu Lin almost turned into an afterimage, and instantly disappeared in place. Su Lingen didn't have any dissatisfaction either, and the blast Mengeling summoned out with her innate talent, and hurriedly chased after him. Under the full speed of the two people's blood loss, the original 15-minute journey took less than 1 minute. As soon as Shu Lin arrived at the entrance of Wudong community, he was immediately stunned by the scene in front of him. The once warm and peaceful neighborhood has become a mess. There was smoke and rubble everywhere, a huge gulf was cracked in the ground, and there were smashed vehicles everywhere. Howling, screaming. At the entrance of the community, 3 or 4 cars of the Martial Arts Bureau were parked, and a long cordon surrounded the entire community. Outside the cordon, 6 heavily armed officers in black uniforms were evacuating the crowd. Shu Lin's eyes swept across the crowd, but he never saw the person he was looking for, but he found out unexpectedly. Uncle's family. How are they here? Forget it, it doesn't matter. Mom and Dad are not here, they must be still in the community. Shu Lin immediately made a judgment and was about to rush into the community, but was stopped by 2 military officers. This place is temporarily closed, and it is very dangerous inside. My parents may still be inside. Shu Lin frowned. The 2 military officers in front of them were not inferior to him, plus the 4 who were maintaining order on the side. There was no way to force their way through. Impossible, everyone in the community has been evacuated. Could it be that they are not at home? The military officer saw his urgency and patiently persuaded him. Seeing this, the crowd on the side also opened their mouths to persuade. Yeah boy, but don't go in. It's terrible, there is a fierce beast in the community now. It's too dangerous. Calm down, boy. At this time, Aunt Shu Lin's family also saw Shu Lin, and hurriedly stopped in front of Shu Lin and said, Shu Lin, why are you here? Your mother refuses to come out with us, she insists on going crazy with your father. Don't go in and cause trouble, what can you do as a child? Aunt Shu Lin broke the skin on her forehead, and she still had a frightened look on her face, even a little resentful. If it wasn't for Shu Lin's mother's refusal to leave, and she didn't take them away as soon as possible, maybe she wouldn't be in a panic. But as soon as he looked up, he saw Shu Lin staring at her with red eyes, and said with a grim expression, "You said, my parents are still inside." "You." Aunt Shu Lin was taken aback by this look. Just as she was about to teach him a few words, she was pushed away by Shu Lin. "Go away." Knowing that his parents were still inside, Shu Lin couldn't take it any longer. Even if it was a head-to-head fight, he had to break through. Fortunately, crucial moment, Su Linggan arrived at the scene in time and took out a pass. "Let's go in." A-class pass. One of the military officers took a pass and glanced at it, and his face was immediately filled with astonishment, and then he was respectful. "Quick, let them in." "Yes." Su Linggan took Shu Lin all the way to the green light and entered the community smoothly. On the spot, a younger military officer asked in a low voice, "Boss, just let them in, will the captain scold you?" The middle-aged military officer glanced at him and said, "Don't talk about the captain was here just now, and they have to be respectfully sent in. You just came here, and you don't understand the concept of an A-level pass. Let's just say that the only thing with more power than this pass is the director's S-level pass." Hiss. On the other hand, Aunt Shu Lin, who watched the whole process, was completely dumbfounded. Shu Lin, that waste boy, how did he get into such a relationship? At the same time, in Wudong community, a fierce battle is going on. The residential building where Shu Lin's house was located was almost destroyed, and thick smoke billows continuously. Bang, 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 hundreds of consecutive, dense guns. The sound of bullets coming out of the chamber sounded. As the dazzling flames flickered, the dark red special bullets almost converged into guns. Forest bullets and rain passed through the thick smoke and shot away. Amidst the ruins of the ruins, the dark red sub shot all the bullets on the dark green body of the steel claw monitor lizard covered in mucus, but most of them were bounced off by its extremely slippery skin. Only a few bullets were able to successfully penetrate its skin, but only limitedly inhibited its onslaught. Can't play a real lethal effect. "Captain, this guy's skin is too thick, and it's useless to shoot." "Yeah, it's really troublesome this time. These low-level aliens can actually invade the residential area directly. Our weapons of mass destruction and wounding can't be used at all." "Okay, it's useless to talk too much. We don't expect to rely on heat and weapons to fight against these alien races, and we can only rely on hard power." Li Yong, captain of the law enforcement team of the Armed Forces Administration, said with a solemn expression. "Yes." Hearing the words, the three team members on the side put down their guns decisively and replaced them with the long knives they carried with them. "Xiaowei, you don't have to participate in the next battle. You are responsible for escorting the two surviving residents out as soon as possible." Li Yong made arrangements while staring at the movements in the ruins. "Yes, Captain." One of the three female players with a high ponytail stepped back. The surviving residents mentioned by Li Yong are naturally Xu Dashwan and his wife. At this time, Xu Dashwan was leaning his back against the corner of the wall, gasping for breath. In his hand, he held a blood-stained spear tightly. It was hard to imagine that such an honest-looking middle-aged man was actually a martial artist with a gun. Chen Shanshu supported Xu Dashwan's crumbling body by the side, her eyes full of distress. Although the law enforcement team of the Armed Forces Administration came quickly and supported Xu Dashwan in time, he was not injured. But what really worried Chen Shanshu was his old injury. Since his soul was damaged when he was young, he has never used the blood in his body. But this time, not only did he use it, Xu Dashwan even tried his best to raise his realm to the peak period before he could withstand this fierce beast. "Let you show off. If the law enforcement team hadn't come early, your old arms and legs would have fallen apart," Chen Shanshu complained. Hearing his wife's words, Xu Dashwan forced a smile. "Hee, no way. Who made your husband so conspicuous? Even the alien invasion was the first to take a fancy to me." "Bah, you're still glib now. Lin was ruined by your rude father." Seeing that he was still thinking about joking, Chen Shanshu finally breathed a sigh of relief and scolded with a smile. "You two, let me escort you out of here as soon as possible." On the side, Li Wei, who received the order to escort them out, interrupted with a strange expression. She never imagined that she would be stuffed with dog food at such a critical moment. It has to be said that these two couples are really big-hearted. Oh, that's troublesome for you. Shu Dashwan blushed, and with the help of his wife, he limped out with Li Wei. He is not someone who likes to be stubborn. The less than 1 minute battle just now has almost exhausted all his energy and blood, and his bones are starting to crunch. It is estimated that I will have to lie in bed for at least 3 days and 3 nights, but it can be considered that he played handsomely in front of his wife, and moved her enough. Maybe next month's pocket money can go up by 200 again. Hey, this wave can only say, not bad. There's even a small profit. Shu Dashwan was thinking about how to spend the 200 yuan, when he saw 2 afterimages, swoosh, and came towards him. The momentum is extremely ferocious. It's too late. Come again. Shu Dashwan subconsciously thought it was a beast, and his shaking hands almost came with a gun again. Fortunately, just as he was swearing and preparing to do his best, a familiar voice suddenly came. Dad. Shu Dashwan's eyes widened, only to see the afterimage of the leader slowly stop, revealing a handsome face that fascinated people and didn't pay for his life. Smash. Why are you here? No, why are you here so soon? Shu Dashwan was stunned when he saw Shu Lin, who had inherited his perfect appearance. When did you become a 9th-rank apprentice martial artist? Compared to Shu Dashwan, Shu Lin was even more stunned than him. He almost didn't write the words, "Dad, you are still alive," on his face. No way. As a scumbag, although he can't read, he is the absolute king of movies and novels. Subconsciously, I brought it into the plot, and I even almost made up a big drama of parting from life and death, and breaking out of desperation. That's why I came so impulsive. Who would have thought? It turned out that I was self-indulgent. You don't need yourself at all. Think about the ant who was just pushed away by her anger. Well, still nothing wrong. Shu Lin finally calmed down and explained to his parents why he was so fierce. By the way, Mom and Dad, let me introduce, this is my classmate and teammate, Su Lingen. It's thanks to her that your son can be so fierce now. Suddenly being mentioned, still in front of Shu Lin's parents, Su Lingen's pretty face suddenly turned red. She hurriedly adjusted her collar, and said hello in a hollow voice. Hello Uncle Aunt, I'm Su Lingen. Ah, good. It's really good. You're welcome, just like your own home. Seeing Su Lingen's shy face, Shu Dashwan burst into laughter and waved his hands again and again. Good boy, I haven't seen you for a few days and even found a girlfriend. Not bad, really has the demeanor of being a father back then. Just when a few people were having fun and joyful greetings. Boom, the residential building on the side was directly blown down in half by the aftermath of the battle. The dust and smoke dissipated, revealing the ferocious head of the steel-clawed monitor lizard slightly. And the embarrassed back of the 3-member law enforcement team that was beaten and retreated. Several people looked at each other for a while. Shu Lin smiled awkwardly. I was so busy chatting that I almost forgot my business. Mom and Dad, stay away for now. My classmate Su and I will go see if we can help. Okay, son. Be careful, son. Daddy is 1 step ahead, son. Shu Dashwan's voice came from afar. Shu Lin turned around strangely, and there was nowhere to see his parents. Looking at it again, my father was running out of the community without looking back, holding my mother. It was already 10 meters away. Why is the scene inexplicably familiar? Shu Lin muttered to himself. Aside, Su Lingen gave him an angry look, and said, that is the first second-order fierce beast, which is equivalent to the official martial artist realm. Are you sure you won't run? Shu Lin glared at him, very dissatisfied. Look at what you said. Am I that kind of person? At least you have to give it a try, and then wait until you can't beat it, and then run. As expected of you. Now, among the ruins. The battle has reached a fever pitch. The long knife swung in Li Wu's hand, sending out bursts of blood-colored afterimages. He was madly motivated by the power of qi and blood, and a scorching energy gathered around him, and when the sword light flashed, it approached the key points of the steel claw monitor lizard. But his usual knives that are invincible are of little use after encountering the extremely smooth and greasy skin of the steel-clawed monitor lizard. At most, it would only cut out a shallow bloodstain and then there would be no text. At the same time, the other 3 members of the law enforcement team with lower cultivation levels were also not idle. Stand in a good position and surround the steel claw monitor lizard in the middle. The main purpose is to attract its attention, so as to create a better output environment for Li Wu. However, in the face of the double teaming of several people, the steel-clawed monitor lizard did not lose at all, and even held the upper hand, and the dark green long tail covered with scales slammed. Bang bang bang. Wherever the long tail goes, it destroys everything along the way like a steel whip. When several team members saw this, their expressions changed drastically, and there was no doubt that if they were drawn, even if they didn't die on the spot, they would have to be buried halfway. This is nothing. The steel claw monitor lizard is really the most feared as its 1 meter long black steel claw. If you touch it, you will be injured. If you grab it, you will die. The reason why this entire residential building has turned into ruins is because of those 2 steel claws that are so sharp and terrifying. Captain, this beast is too fierce. It's like a loach. The knife slips off immediately after being cut on it. At first, I thought that so many of us were using a knife to kill chickens, but now, my good fellow, this is even more difficult to deal with than a tiger. Listening to the complaints of his subordinates, Li Yong was also very helpless in his heart. Compared with the beasts of the same realm, martial artists have a huge advantage in physique, and the steel-clawed monitor lizard in front of them is the most difficult type of second-order beasts. The long knives they use are standard weapons, and their sharpness is okay against ordinary beasts, but facing this one, it is obviously not enough. It's really not good. You can only burn your blood and fight for your life. Li Yong struggled to resist the attack from the steel-clawed monitor lizard, while thinking about countermeasures. But at this moment, in his line of sight, a familiar sword-wielding girl suddenly flew over from the rear right. Look carefully again. Li Yong only felt that his whole body stagnant for a moment. Su Lingyan, the director's only genius daughter who can't wait to be spoiled in the sky. How could she be here? Lingyan, don't go. You are not the opponent of this beast. Li Yong was about to faint. If something happened to Su Lingyan, he really didn't know how to explain it to the director. Don't worry about Uncle Li. I'm not alone. After saying that, Su Lingyan lightly tapped a gravel with her toes, and her body leapt up lightly. With 2 chubby little feet and lavender ray of light, the wind dream spirit appeared, surrounding her, and the purple awns flourished. Talent, change the wind. Su Lingyan's body, which was already as light as a floating feather, became lighter, swaying like a fairy falling from 9 days in the wind filled with gorillas, and the silver-white longsword in her hand seemed to be just a random wave. Hanjian Mengeling's white and illusory figure appeared, like a mischievous ice and snow elf's toes tapping on the blade as thin as a cicada's wings. Talent, frozen sword chi. Shish. In midair, a snow-white sword chi in the shape of an arc like a waning moon flew out from the long sword in Su Lingyan's hand. With an extremely cold freezing air comparable to a 10,000-year glacier, it slashed straight to the ground and waved its claws, a ferocious steel-clawed monitor lizard. Break. A crisp and sharp sword energy cut sounded. For the first time, the dark green skin of the steel-clawed monitor lizard, which had been tried and tested on Li Yong and others, lost its due effect. A bone-deep bloodstain ran from the back of its neck to its tail. A long string of crystal blood beads rose into the sky. Gah! The body of the steel-clawed monitor lizard twitched suddenly, and let out a tragic hiss. Awesome! Ha 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 ha! This beast has finally suffered. Several team members suddenly looked overjoyed and applauded. Only Li Yong still frowned, staring at the steel-clawed monitor lizard for a moment. His voice was a little heavy. Don't be too happy, this is just an ordinary skin injury to it. Yes, Uncle Li is right. Su Lingyan's figure slowly fell from the air, and the corner of her mouth rose slightly and added, but I didn't think I could kill it. Then you, Li Yong was about to say, then why are you taking such a risk to swing this sword, when he saw 1, 2, 3, 8 blood-colored streamers suddenly flashed across the line of sight. There are 8 black flying knives. The speed is so fast that even his serious martial artist can't see clearly. Above the flying knife, there was a violent force that made his heart palpitate slightly. Because we want to create a little bit of conditions for this move. Su Lingyan continued. Li Yong suddenly thought that he seemed to have missed some details, and hurriedly looked back at the steel-clawed monitor lizard. As predicted, the steel-clawed monitor lizard, which had just attacked wildly and was extremely ferocious, was now covered with snow-white frost and froze in place. Although it was only a short moment, it was enough for the galloping flying knife to accurately stab the target. Rub, 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 8 flying knives, all submerged in the huge open mouth of the steel-clawed monitor lizard. Immediately, shish, 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 the power of the terrifying gust of wind is like a sharp scalpel, instantly smashing the internal organs of the steel-claw monitor lizard into a mass of paste. Gah! Then the steel-clawed monitor lizard finally screamed in despair. Bang! Its blood-filled eyes completely dimmed, and its huge body fell heavily to the ground. Unwilling to die, immediately, the corpse of the steel-clawed monitor lizard turned into dark green light spots all over the sky and dissipated in the air. Ah, what a pity, did you leave without leaving any spoils? A soft voice full of regret came from behind everyone. Li Yong and the others turned around in surprise, and found that it was a 16 or 17-year-old boy in a school uniform who was talking. There was a touch of regret on the corner of the boy's mouth, and when he raised his hand, 8 black flying knives flew past the crowd as if they were summoned, and were quietly suspended in his palm. Hiss! Everyone took a breath of cold air. The one who just urged the flying knife and killed the steel-clawed monitor lizard was actually such a lazy teenager. Looking at the turbulent chi and blood concentration all over the body, that is, a trainee martial artist at the peak of the 9th rank. Although it is true that the talent is a genius, the problem is this the lethal power that a trainee martial artist should have? What a bunch of us warriors can't do, just raise your hand as a trainee warrior and finish it. Has the current genius already reached this level of evildoer? Looking at Su Lingen and Shu Lin standing side by side, all the law enforcement team members, including Li Yong, fell into deep autism. MMP. I want to find a corner to squat for a while. Captain Li, will this alien invasion continue to be concealed? When the group walked towards the gate of the community, Shu Lin asked. Li Yong hesitated for a moment and said, as usual, this is the case, but the number of alien invasions has become more and more frequent recently, and in the past, alien invasions basically occurred in remote mountainous areas or urban suburbs. It seems that due to certain restrictions, it is difficult for them to directly transmit to areas with many people, so it is relatively easy to block news. But the recent alien invasions have begun to break this convention, and this time it appeared directly in a densely populated community. I'm afraid it's hard to hide the news. Su Lingen also added, the only thing that is fortunate now is that the only people who can invade densely populated areas are some low-level aliens. As long as they are dealt with in time, they will not cause too many casualties. Shu Lin nodded thoughtfully and asked, will there be compensation measures for the people who were invaded by aliens? Compared with the previous question, he is more concerned about this. After all, not to mention their house, even the whole building was forcibly demolished by that big lizard. Li Yong said with a smile, you can rest assured about this. The Armed Forces Administration will have special departments and measures to properly resettle the affected people and follow up compensation. Not only that, you and Lingen have both made great contributions this time, and the Armed Forces Administration will give you special bonuses. As soon as he heard the word bonus, Shu Lin's eyes lit up. How much? Li Yong thought for a while and said, you killed a second-order beast, and the bonus is about 5 million. The specific amount can be distributed by the two of you. I don't need it, give it to him. Su Lingen said lightly. Shu Lin was moved and grabbed Su Lingen's little hand, and forcibly shook his hand to thank him. Woo woo woo. Su Shalwa, you are still good to me. Quote. If you have something to say, let go of your hand. Okay, no problem, what you say is what you say. Shu Lin was very cooperative this time. There are 5 million, let alone let go of the hand, even let loose the waistband, he will do it without saying a word. Of course, this one is limited to school flower babies for the time being. Aiya, you're finally back. That fierce beast is scary, isn't it? Dad, I stabbed it fiercely in front of me, is it fierce? Seeing Shu Lin come out, Shu Dashwan patted his shoulder proudly and whispered, don't be discouraged, given time, you will be as fierce as your father. Shu Lin was already used to his father's indecent behavior, so he pouted and didn't speak. On the other hand, a few law enforcement team members chatted with Shu Dashwan enthusiastically. Brother, it turns out that Shu Lin is your son. No wonder he is so powerful. Sure enough, a tiger's father has no dog's son, and the blue is better than the blue. Brother, you didn't see it just now, your son is a god. Shu Dashwan, seeing the incomparably enthusiastic and even courteous law enforcement team members in front of him, Shu Dashwan was stunned. What? Avatar, my son. Seeing Shu Dashwan's dazed look, several law enforcement team members immediately explained to him vividly. After listening to it, Shu Dashwan's old face immediately turned red with the whisper he had just said to Shu Lin, but soon, he became even more proud. Joke, my son is so fierce, doesn't that make me even more embarrassed? His face that was still a little pale suddenly turned red, and he gave Shu Lin a bear hug. Son, it's great. Go. Chen Shanshu on the side pulled him away angrily and looked at Shu Lin with a distressed expression. Son, are you not injured? You are not allowed to imitate your father's brilliance in such a dangerous thing. Shu Lin grinned. It's okay, Mom, it's a piece of cake, that beast never touched me at all. By the way, Mom and Dad, I have something good for you. As Shu Lin said, he took out the soul-nourishing grass and handed it to Shu Dashwan. Shu Dashwan's eyes widened immediately. This is soul-nourishing grass. Yes, Dad, I found this in the dream space. It should have some effect on your old injury. You can eat it first. Shu Lin said. But what he didn't expect was that Shu Dashwan pushed back the soul-nourishing grass and said solemnly. Son, Dad took your heart, but it's a waste for Dad to use this stuff. You should bring it yourself. Once your soul is injured, remember to take it immediately, and you must not be like me. No, Shu Lin was equally determined. Dad, you must accept it. Having said that, Shu Lin leaned into his father's ear and whispered, Don't worry, father, your son is very violent. He is flat in the dream space and won't hang at all, and... Did you see the beautiful girl I brought? Her father is the director of the Magic Capital Military Administration Bureau. He is very rich. Even if I keep getting hurt, there is no problem at all. Hearing this, Shu Dashwan stared, and his eyes were filled with shock when he looked at his son. As expected of my son, soft rice is hard to eat. Can Dad accept it with confidence? Well, I will send you a few plants every 3 to 5 in the future, isn't it an old injury? It must be settled. Son, steady. Dad will be waiting for you in the future. The father and son looked at each other, both showing evil smiles. Turning around, Shu Lin looked at his mother Chen Shanshu and said, Mom, this time I will help the law enforcement team kill the beast with a bonus of 5 million yuan, and it will be charged to your account at that time. Don't save it, spend it hard. What? Chen Shanshu opened her mouth wide in surprise, and then glared at Shu Dashwan who was on the side. Look, my son is still amazing, much better than his father. However, son, your father and mother usually don't need much money, you should take this money first. Now that you have become a warrior, you have a lot of money to use, and you usually need to replenish your body, but you can't be as empty as your father. Quote. Shu Dashwan. After Shu Lin's words, his mother finally accepted 1 million to improve his life, and the remaining 4 million were still kept by him. Shu Lin also accepted, not to mention, he still owes Lao Wang money, so he can't always let him pay for it. At this time, a wriggling voice sounded. Oh, Lin, Auntie was impatient just now, don't take it to heart. At this time, the aunt seemed to be a different person, with a smile on her face to please. Shu Lin also smiled understandingly when he heard the words, It's okay Auntie, I was too impulsive just now, don't mind. Isn't this my cousin? Not bad, all of them have the cultivation base of the peak of the 8th rank. Let's continue to work hard in the future. After the chat, he turned his head to face his parents and whispered, Father and Mother, they just stopped me and didn't let me save you, so don't lend them money in the future. Don't borrow a dime. Shu Dashwan blinked. Who are they? I don't know them well. Chen Shanshu nodded without any pretense. Don't worry, son, I'll keep all the money for you to marry a daughter-in-law. After an hour, high school office. After Shu Lin paid off the debt, his back straightened up, and his words became stiff again. Pharaoh, are your students fierce? Lao Wang helped his gold glasses and looked at the transfer record of 100,000 yuan on his mobile phone. After a moment of silence, he said, What's wrong? Did you change careers to rob a bank? Look at what you said. I just encountered an alien invasion along the way, and I just had nothing to do, so I did a favor and slaughtered the alien beast that destroyed the flowers and plants. Shu Lin grinned. Lao Wang was speechless and stared at Shu Lin silently for a long while. It's class time, you have nothing to do. Ahem, is this the point? Facing the death stare from the head teacher, Shu Lin almost didn't catch his breath. Pharaoh thought about it for a while, so he changed his rhetoric. During class time, you and Su Lingyan openly held hands and played truant to fall in love. Feeling fated, Shu Lin walked out of the office with a sigh. As soon as he stepped out of the door with his front feet, the old queen jumped up on his hind feet, and his face flushed with excitement. This kid is really a monster. It's just been a day and he's at the peak of the 9th grade. As for the alien invasion, he wouldn't be joking, would he? Pharaoh quickly dialed a number, wanting to ask for a certificate of authenticity. A minute later, old Wang, who hung up the phone, slumped on the armchair and muttered to himself, why is this still a human? He asked about his old relationship. Good guy, where is Shu Lin's simple act of helping? It is simply turning the tide. It was almost by virtue of him and Su Lingyan that they killed the second-order alien beast that made the warrior realm feel intractable. Nature is hard, heaven is hard. I thought I was a genius back then. Compared with him, he is nothing. No, I have to call the guys in the imperial capital again. They didn't believe it last time, saying that there is no sign of the blessing of the Holy Spirit. It's so perverted, how could it not be a blessing from the Holy Spirit? Old Wang cursed and made another phone call. As soon as the call was connected, Zan greeted him with a graceful utterance. Quote. On the other end of the phone, a certain high-ranking middle-aged man was confused at first, then furious. When he was about to show off his shrimp and pig heart skills back then, when he heard the description on the other end of the phone, his expression immediately turned into astonishment. It's so outrageous. Nonsense. It's just what happened, you can come or not, anyway, it's your admissions director's fault to miss the monster. Pharaoh hung up the phone angrily and let out a sigh of relief. So cool. I wanted to scold this grandson for a long time, but I was afraid that he would fly over and beat him. This time, he finally got his way with Shu Lin's excuse. Comfortable. Just under half an hour. A middle-aged warrior with a national face, a sturdy figure, and no anger, strode into the office. Old Wang guessed that he would come impatiently. She had already set up the shelves and took out the antique tea set that had been in the cabinet for many years. At this time, he was sipping tea indifferently. Yeah, Brother Badian, you are so interested. Did you make tea and wait for me? The middle-aged warrior Wanian showed a rare smile on his serious face, and said familiarly. Yo, isn't this Director Qin Yuanfang, the master of the Imperial Martial Arts University? What a rare visitor. The old king glanced at him strangely. Want to drink tea? Come, I'll give you a bowl and make it yourself. Quote. What are you doing so much? Do you still remember what happened back then? I can't help it. You know the old principal's temper. Qin Yuanfang reluctantly took the tea bowl and begged for mercy. The director of the admissions office of Wuhan University, the dignified capital, was actually begging for mercy from a college teacher. If it weren't for others to see it, I'm afraid I would feel like I was dreaming. After making things difficult for a few words, Pharaoh finally let out a bad breath and talked about Shu Lin's situation. Qin Yuanfang was speechless for a long time after listening. A first-rank apprentice martial artist soared to the 9th-rank peak apprentice martial artist in just 2 days. If you hadn't told me, if it was someone else, I would have called him a bloody head. Nonsense, isn't it? Also, you said he killed a second-order beast that invaded the downtown area. Didn't he really obe on the edge for a while and then slap some assists? Qin Yuanfang looked at Pharaoh very solemnly and asked. Old Wang twitched the corners of his mouth when he heard the words. Don't talk about you, I don't even want to believe it's true. This kind of record is simply appalling, enough to rub us on the ground back then. But the thing is, that's what it is. A 5-person law enforcement team from the Magic Capital Military Administration fought fiercely for a long time, but there was no way to take the beast. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that the alien that invaded this time is a second-order steel-clawed monitor lizard. The old man added with a teasing face. Upon hearing this name, Qin Yuanfang's expression suddenly became extremely wonderful. The reason is that after he was promoted to the martial artist realm, he was brutally abused by a steel-clawed monitor lizard in the dream realm space. In the end, he was even sent away on the spot by a paw, and it took 3 full days to recover in the Imperial Infirmary. This time, Qin Yuanfang no longer has any doubts. It seems that this time, I really met a demon genius, Brother Badian, with a bright eye like a torch. Cough cough. Of course, old Wang blushed, thinking that 2 days ago, he also asked Shu Lin to find a temple to burn incense. Of course, it is impossible for him to say such a thing, and even if it is known at that time, he will never admit it. Then what are we waiting for? Just call your student and I'll admit him right away. You don't even need to take the college entrance examination. Qin Yuanfang's eyes flashed with light. But he saw Lao Wang smiled awkwardly at him. There is still a little problem. What's the problem? Could it be that there is something wrong with his conduct? Qin Yuanfang frowned. No, it's not his problem, it's my problem. To be precise, it's my daughter-in-law's problem. Your wife, Lu Jin. As soon as the name was mentioned, Qin Yuanfang's face shuddered, as if he thought of some painful memories. Old Wang smiled bitterly and said, yes, she also knows about Shu Lin. She has already contacted the people from Mowu, and it is estimated that she will be here in the next 2 days. So, you might have to wait. Hearing these words, Qin Yuanfang fell silent. If it were someone else, he would not be a bird at all, so what are you waiting for? It's better to strike first, grab it and talk about it. No matter how powerful you are, how can you still violate the rules? But if the object is Lu Jin, Qin Yuanfang decided to endure it. Nothing else, pure gentlemanly demeanor. Definitely not afraid of being pierced by the magic sound, rubbing the ground and rubbing. Absolutely not. But well, although you can't grab it directly, is it okay to talk to him first? Praise him, promise a little benefit, plus the status of the top martial arts school of Wuda University in God. Is it not easy for a young man who has never seen the world to win? Ah, Lu Jin. This time, I, Qin Yuanfang, won. In classrooms. Shu Lin was lying on a chair, enjoying the worship and support from the boys in the class. On the left is the iced fat house happy water with a straw, which you can drink as soon as you stretch out your mouth. On the right is Kentucky's summer colorful family bucket, gloves, sauces, everything. If he wanted to, there would be a group of boys rushing to feed him. Hey, is the life of studying gods so happy? No, Brother Lin, you are so happy because you have mastered the god of learning. Chen Hao winked at the side. All the boys nodded, looking at Shu Lin with reverence and love in their eyes. After all, he was the most beautiful student god in the entire number 1 middle school. Just when Shu Lin was reluctant to think about Shu. Bang bang bang. A young male teacher walked up to his desk and slammed it on the desk with a pointer, looking at Shu Lin with anger in his eyes. What a formality. Are you going to rebel? All the boys suddenly shrank back to their seats in fright, leaving Shu Lin in a mess facing the table full of snacks. I'm sorry, teacher, wasn't it just lunch break? A little bit of indulgence. Shu Lin smiled embarrassedly, and also felt that eating KFC is too unhealthy. Next time, let them buy some green food. Opposite, Shu Jianan looked at Shu Lin's smiling face, and was even more angry. Who is joking with you? This is the school, not your home. Come here if you want, and leave if you want. I haven't settled with you for your blatantly skipping classes in my class this morning. Don't think that it's amazing that you can play tricks and fool female classmates. Shu Lin, believe it or not, as long as I report to you, I can directly disqualify you from the college entrance examination. Shu Lin was wondering if he had offended him at some point, and when he heard the word truancy, he immediately recalled it. Yes, when the school flower baby came to him this morning, he was in his class. Is this teacher so young, so grumpy? Will I be disqualified from the college entrance examination if I just escaped your class once? Bullshit. Dare you are the legendary big man who speaks the truth. Shu Lin was about to have a good reasoning with the teacher who had a clear hand and eyes, when he heard a cold voice coming from the door. Who wants to disqualify him from the exam? Shu Jianan was in a fit of anger, and when he turned around, he saw a middle-aged man standing at the door who had never seen him, and immediately frowned. Who are you? The new teacher. Just in case, he still wanted to confirm his identity first. But the middle-aged man denied without hesitation. No, I just want to find Shulin for something. Again, are you looking for Shulin again? You really don't treat your teacher as a cadre, do you? Shu Jianan subconsciously thought he was a relative of Shulin, and immediately took out the teacher's heir and reprimanded. Looking for someone? You don't even see where this place is. This is a school. Magic City number 1 middle school. Do you think it's a vegetable market? Can anyone come and go freely? But it's just right, since you've come to find Shulin, just take him away. We don't need such unruly and disrespectful students in the Demon City, no. 1 middle school. At this moment, at the door of the classroom, Qin Yuanfeng's face was extremely ugly. For so many years, no one dared to scold him like a grandson. Not to mention, the arrogant words of this young male teacher wanting Shulin to drop out of school. His eyes suddenly became cold, and he said lightly, "Indeed, Modu, no. 1 middle school is not a vegetable market, so there must be no need for an unscrupulous teacher like you who will disqualify students from the college entrance examination. Also, let me introduce myself. My name is Qin Yuanfeng, director of the admissions office of Imperial Martial Arts University. Although he's not a teacher at this school, he's not just some idle person, right?" Boom. As soon as Qin Yuanfeng's words sounded, Shu Jianan seemed to be hit by 5 thunderbolts, and he froze in place. Imperial Martial Arts University, Director of Admissions. Doesn't that mean that he is at least a master? Shu Jianan's mind hummed for a while, only to feel a cold air from his tailbone reaching the sky. The whole person was like falling into an ice cave, and the arm holding the pointer trembled uncontrollably. Thinking about it just now, I actually made a rude remark to a strong master. With a bang, Shu Jianan fell to the ground with lost eyes, his expression as gray as a dead father. He could already foresee that his future completely collapsed at this moment. The only thing that puzzled him was, why did the admissions director of Wuhan University, the dignified capital, personally come to find Shulin, who he identified as a waste? Why is he? But in the corner of the light, Qin Yuanfeng walked straight past him and stopped in front of Shulin, who was also confused, with a very kind smile. "Student Shulin, I don't know. Are you interested in our Imperial Martial Arts University?" As soon as these words came out, not only Shu Jianan couldn't believe his ears. Even all the classmates present opened their mouths wide at this time, indescribably shocked. Admittedly, they do admire Shulin. But the problem is, that's just admiration for Shulin's ability to catch up with Su Lingen, the well-recognized iceberg goddess in the school. Why did the top university standing on the top of the pyramid in the imperial capital Wuda come to Shulin in person? It can't be because of his unique ability to pick up girls, right? As for the cultivation base, please, no one in the whole class, or even the whole school, doesn't know that Shulin is a complete scumbag. The cultivation base of a first-rank apprentice martial artist, even if he just throws a brick on the street, I am afraid that he can hit someone stronger than him. This uncle, do we know each other? Shulin looked at Qin Yuanfeng and swallowed. The director of the admissions office of Imperial College, it sounds like a very powerful look. At least it can scare Shu Jianan to the ground. Qin Yuanfeng smiled and shook his head. "Shulin, you may not know me. But I know your feats very well from your teacher Wang. From a first-rank apprentice martial artist, directly across 8 ranks in 2 days to a 9th-rank peak apprentice martial artist, it is not something ordinary people can do." Qin Yuanfeng's voice fell, and suddenly a huge wave was set off in the entire class. "What the hell, Brother Lin, when did you become a 9th-rank peak martial artist? Brother Lin is awesome, as expected of you. It's no wonder that Brother Lin was able to capture the heart of the goddess without any effort. It turned out to be so deeply hidden." Facing the admiration from all the classmates, both men and women, Shulin blushed and waved his hand. "Calm down, don't be six, sit down and don't talk nonsense. Of course, it's my handsome, dashing, suave male spirit to capture the heart of the goddess." Hearing this, Qin Yuanfeng also laughed and said, "Not only that, I also know, Shulin, you have a sense of justice and the blood and courage of a warrior. Dare to participate in the battle against the second-order aliens with the cultivation of a trainee martial artist, and even kill them in one fell swoop, you really don't look like an ordinary academic genius. Young warriors like you who are brave and resourceful, dare to fight and dare to do things, just fit the style of our emperor's iron and blood. Back then, the old principal of the emperor held a silver spear, and at the top of Kunlun, faced the thousands of troops of alien races with his own strength, and killed 7 in and 7 out. A long shout makes the army of thousands of aliens shudder. At the age of 80 years old, I stayed alone on the top of Kunlun Mountain for 3 days and 3 nights, and there were mountains of alien corpses under my feet. How is it? Do you feel the blood boiling? Is the fighting spirit in your heart about to ignite? Do you want to join our Imperial University? Become a peerless figure like the old principal. Qin Yuanfang said these words with impassioned and arrogance, and looked at Shu Lin with burning eyes. Quote. At this time, Shu Lin opened his mouth silently, staring blankly at Qin Yuanfang, who was full of pride in front of him. It's so tragic. At the age of 80, he still can't retire. Not only does he not retire, he even has to face thousands of troops of alien races alone, killing 7 in and 7 out with a silver gun. It is simply a replica of Zhao Zilong. It's no wonder that there is no Zhao Zilong in the history of this world. Hurry up, his old man is still alive. Uncle, take the liberty to ask, won't the death of aliens in the real world directly return to the dream world? Will they really leave corpses behind? Listening to Shu Lin's naive and studious questions, Qin Yuanfang smiled awkwardly. Well, the dramatic effect, don't pay too much attention to the details. At this moment, a woman's merciless sneer sounded behind him. Bah, what dramatic effect? Just say bragging. Qin Yuanfang was furious when he heard the words, what happened today? How come people always come out to provoke him? No, it seems that it is impossible not to show the anger of the master and the strong. Just so, let Shu Lin see his own strength, maybe he will be convinced by his own strength immediately, and he will worship him directly. Fool, He Fangxiao whispered wild words. Qin Yuanfang made up his mind, turned around with an angry shout, the Grandmaster all over his body was ready to go, like a sleeping lion when Su Sheng. Then, after seeing the appearance of the woman at the door, call out. The Grandmaster's momentum suddenly stagnant, and the lion was so frightened that he hurried back to sleep again. MMP. Lu Jin. How did she come? Qin Yuanfang's face suddenly became very exciting, his aura would not show up, and he was depressed for a while. Tisk tisk tisk. I haven't seen you for a few years, Qin Yuanfang, you are really amazing. Isn't it Director Qin? With a creepy smile on the corner of Lu Jin's mouth, he walked in on high heels. Behind her, followed by a 25 or 6-year-old woman. A melon seed face, the appearance is breathtakingly beautiful. In the blink of an eye, the heart chords are more charming than the peach blossoms adorned with morning dew. The skin is better than the snow, and the black hair is pulled into a high beauty bun, adding an elegant classical beauty. However, compared to her classical beauty, the dress is completely different. A tight black dress outlines her flamboyant curves. Under his feet was a pair of 10 centimeters tall hat tension. The slender high heels lightly stepped on the floor, and the sound was particularly clear and moving. Except for Qin Yuanfang, who was sweating coldly on his forehead, everyone in the classroom was stunned, and Shu Lin was no exception. This woman is obviously charming like a goblin, but she has a classically elegant face. It comes out of the mud without being stained, and it is clean and not demonic, which makes people feel the urge to blasphemy. Sister Lu, don't say that, didn't I just not react? Qin Yuanfang quickly explained that when he saw the charming woman behind Lu Jin, he was even bigger. Why is this demon girl here? God is going to kill me. Yan Ziyao, you are not staying at Mowu, why are you here? Yan Ziyao blinked her peach blossom eyes, of course it's for a genius little brother. Qin Yuanfang, Shu Lin, she said, it wasn't me, was it? Impossible, I'm so crazy and cool, at least at the level of a little wolf dog. Besides, this seductive woman was obviously brought by Lu Jin, and it definitely has nothing to do with him. Huh, isn't this the new teacher Shu Jianan? Why are you sitting on the ground? What, it's too cold. Lu Jin glanced at Shu Jianan on the ground and teased. Shu Jianan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but his throat trembled, but he couldn't make a sound at all. First, there is the Grand Master of the Emperor, and then there is a magic martial artist. If it was said that the future had collapsed before, then now it is, a complete darkness, and the game is over. The students under the podium are already numb from listening and watching. In their hearts, the two top universities that they regarded as holy places, but they could not reach them, Emperor Tai and Mowu, actually fell in love with Shu Lin at the same time. Not only that, but even came to the door in person. How much honor is this? I just wanted to ask, Brother Lin, is there a laser rain on your ancestral grave? Here, Shu Lin is very sure that this has nothing to do with him, and he can finally rest for a while. He saw Yan Xiao walking slowly and swaying before him, showing a charming smile that was enough to kill all male creatures in seconds. You are Shu Lin's little brother. Do you want to join Mowu? You can listen to my sister's lectures all day long. Forehead. Shu Lin froze, almost scolding Lao Wang in his heart. Betray students do not bring such betrayal. How many schools were sold? Seeing Shu Lin hesitate, Yan Xiao pursed her lips and blinked her peach blossom eyes with a pitiful look on her face. Because of you, people have put down all the work at hand, and they have come from a long distance, and their feet are sore. Just promise Big Sister. Big Sister will be your exclusive tutor and teach you hand by hand, okay? The soft and waxy voice came out of Yan Xiao's mouth, and the lethality instantly exploded. Gudong. Almost at the same time in the classroom, there were countless drooling sounds from all directions. All the boys and even the girls were no exception. They were all obsessed, envious, and eager to immediately agree instead of Shu Lin. Such a soul-stirring sister Yu is so coquettish that no one can refuse. Not to mention the reverie, exclusive tutors and hands-on teaching. Even Qin Yuanfang, who was on the side, silently closed his eyes, unable to bear to look directly at the fiasco that came too quickly. But he had nothing to say. No matter what, he didn't count. How could Mowu be so unshakable that Billion dispatched this demon girl Yanzi, who was best at tricking people's hearts and making people go round and round? Don't say Shu Lin, even if he changed his youth. It was absolutely impossible to resist Yan Xiao's charm and her green tea skills that made countless male warriors dread. However, Shu Lin did it. Facing Yan Xiao's coquettish offensive, Shu Lin's eyes moved slowly from top to bottom, and finally settled on her feet, in a contemplative state. Just as Yan Xiao was slightly slandering Shu Lin at such a young age, he was so obsessed with peculiarities, he saw his serious face and said, "Next time you need to travel thousands of miles, you can actually try on a pair of sneakers." Quote. Yan Xiao was stunned for a moment, and then showed a look of astonishment. How dare you stare at me for so long, just for this? The old lady said so much, but you only heard this. You are such a little genius who is good at grasping the point. Ha 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 ha. Yan Xiao, you have this day too. Qin Yuanfang's serious national character face suddenly turned into a chrysanthemum, and his heart was full of darkness. Let you just laugh at Lao Su, now shoot yourself in the foot. At the same time, he gained a new understanding of Shu Lin. In the face of Yan Xiao, a demon girl, she can still think so clearly. This kid is simply a talent. Glancing at Qin Yuanfang fiercely, Yan Xiao also put away her charm and returned to her elegant classical beauty. I didn't expect to be not only a talented boy with luck, but also very smart. Then I'm not talking nonsense. As long as you are willing to join Mowu, the school will provide you with all the training resources you need. Not only that, as long as your family is in the magic capital, you can enjoy the exclusive protection of the Mowu University. Avoid the risk of alien invasion. Of course, if you want, what I said before is still valid. Sister, I am not only a teacher of magic martial arts, but also a very powerful one. Yan Xiao blinked her peach blossom eyes and said playfully. This time, I have to say that Shu Lin was really moved. Not because of the bewitching beauty in front of him, but because of the protection against his family. After experiencing the thrilling morning, he never wanted such a danger to come to his parents again. But after thinking for a while, Shu Lin shook his head apologetically and said, I'm sorry, I may not be able to give an answer right now, I need to ask another person's opinion. After all, I promised her that I would take the dream experiment class together. Dream experiment class. Yan Xiao raised her eyebrows slightly, and said in surprise, I didn't expect Brother Shu Lin to be quite ambitious. Mowu has indeed prepared to open this class, but this is not a direct admission without test, and it has to be played with hard power. Brother Shu Lin, it's not just talent and luck that are enough for a warrior to fight. She didn't know Shu Lin's record as a pervert like Qin Yuanfang did, otherwise she wouldn't have reminded him of this at all. Shu Lin grinned when he heard the words. That pretty sister, can you tell me, are there any special rewards for being admitted to the dream experiment class? Hearing this, Yan Xiao immediately covered her mouth and giggled. I have a request from elder sister, are you finally willing to say something nice? Okay, for the sake of you being so good, my sister will tell you. This time, the dream experiment class is only set up in the two top martial arts schools, Emperor Da and Mowu. It is almost a joint project of the two universities. As for rewards, apart from the training resources I promised you, the top 10 in the college entrance examination this time will receive an extra grand prize. Brother Shu Lin, which one do you want to know? Yan Xiao bent down and propped herself on Shu Lin's desk with her elbows, showing her beautiful curves. She looked at him curiously and asked. Shu Lin blushed slightly at Yan Xiao's sudden action, and said truthfully, top 3. Seeing Shu Lin finally showing embarrassment, Yan Xiao succeeded in showing a smile that captivated people without paying for her life. I can't tell, my brother is quite domineering. That's fine, my sister will tell you the rewards for the top 3. The first place in the college entrance examination is the champion, and he will receive a rare 2-star dream spirit, the fallen dream spirit. The second place is a relic map of the dream space. Of course, it is broken. As for the third place Tanhua, it is a dream weapon tailored for him. In contrast, the reward for the champion is naturally the highest, and even my sister is jealous. The reward for the third flower is the most practical. As for the second ranked ruin map, the upper limit is extremely high, and it can even surpass the 2-star Mengeling, but the uncertainty is also extremely high. After all, it is only incomplete. Whether it can be found or what can be found is still unknown. Chapter 31. How is it? Is the elder sister's answer detailed? Is brother Shu Lin still satisfied? Facing Yan Xiao's blinking attack, Shu Lin was instantly defeated, satisfied and satisfied. Then don't forget my sister. I am good today, remember to choose my sister as your mentor. Yan Xiao stretched out her slender hand and touched Shu Lin's head. With a sly smile that she had succeeded in her trick, she turned and left gracefully. Only Shu Lin, who has 100 faces in a circle, is left with a perfect back. It seems that she has fallen for this fairy woman's plan. The tip of Shu Lin's nose lightly sniffed the faint fragrance remaining in the air, and the expression on his face was slightly unnatural. Although it seems to be just a light sentence, there is no contract that can force him to abide by it. But, together, the warriors have always demanded respect for their true heart and awe of cause and effect. He was indeed gracious to her. If he really chose Mowu University at that time, he could only choose Yan Xiao as his mentor. What a rewarding picture. As the old saying goes, the woman under the mountain is a tiger. Especially this kind of woman who looks alluring, with a frown and a smile, is a tigress standing at the top of the food chain. Now, I can only hope that Yan Xiao is a great mentor, as she said. Gone. The troubled day is finally over. After returning to the rental house, Su Linggan took the lead and said, I heard about today's incident. Shu Jianan has been fired from the school. Oh, Shu Lin nodded, but there was no response. To him, Shu Jianan was just a passerby, and he didn't care at all. Why didn't you agree to their invitation? You can invite the masters of Emperor Da and Mowu in person. Except for you, I haven't seen the second one. Su Linggan asked with a complicated look in her eyes. Shu Lin shrugged. No way, although I want to agree, isn't this already promised to you? Besides, I have already asked. There are many benefits to participating in the college entrance examination this time, and the rewards are surprisingly generous. Having said that, Shu Lin grinned. There is such a good thing, you can't miss it. Seeing Shu Lin's heartless smile, Su Linggan's heart warmed for no reason, and the corners of her mouth raised a nice arc. Shu Lin, thank you. You're welcome. Who called you my school girl? Shu Lin blinked and laughed. Shut up you, Su Linggan said angrily. Her cold pretty face couldn't hide her redness. Sleep and sleep. School flower baby, it's time for us to go to sleep. Shu Lin got up and walked to the bedroom, smirking and waving at Su Linggan. Go away. Don't call me that. Su Lingyan was so ashamed that she picked up her slippers and threw him, but her body still stood up honestly. No way, it's all for martial arts. That's right. Who let this baby? Who? This eldest miss is so advocating martial arts. Shu Lin. Ding. Detected that your compatibility with Su Lingyan has increased. Current fit, 40%. Congratulations, your teammates' bond has been improved, and the chi and blood bonus has increased by 10%. When the fit reaches 50%, 80%, and 100%, new bond rewards will be triggered. When the beep sounds, Shu Lin opened his eyes, and he was already in the dream space. Beside her, Su Lingyan was still holding the silver-white long sword around her waist. Her eyes were cold, and she watched the movements around her. Unconsciously, the fit has reached 40%. The school flower baby looked at Gao Lang, but his heart was still very soft. Soft. Opportunity seems to be about to appear. Su Lingyan turned her head and said solemnly. In the strange forest at the moment, the thick gray fog is rolling like crazy, as if there is a force in the fog that is pulling the fog turbulently. Ah! There was a low roar of the vicious beast alert in the distance. Rustle. A flock of strange black feathered birds fluttered from the branches, making a chaotic noise. It doesn't look right. Shu Lin nodded, just as he was about to open his eyes of truth to see if he could find some information about a mysterious opportunity. Crack, crack. Along with the sound of huge rock breaking not far away, the ground beneath the two of them suddenly began to shake. Worry. Will the birth of this chance cause an earthquake? Shu Lin was startled. On the side, Su Lingyan's face was also filled with confusion. Impossible. I have never seen such a big movement in the dream space. Besides, before this, I have at least read hundreds of books about dream space, and there has never been a mention that the birth of chance will produce this kind of vision. Shu Lin grinned and said, ha ha ha. This wave is not a loss, no matter if there is any gain or not, at least one day when I can see the all-knowing and all-powerful school flower of Su. Su Lingyan rolled her eyes at him angrily. Don't make trouble, the college entrance examination is going to take place tomorrow. If we die in the dream space tonight, something big will happen. Don't forget, you just rejected the interviews of the two top martial arts schools. This. Shu Lin was stunned for a moment, then hesitantly said, then you will accompany me. Well, Su Lingyan thought for a while, and showed a sly smile of a young girl. Forgot to tell you, my exam-free admission is still valid. Shu Lin couldn't laugh anymore. Okay, I'm kidding you. If it's a big deal, just go to an ordinary school. Anyway, with your bug, we won't necessarily fall behind. After Su Lingyan snickered for a while, she grabbed Shu Lin's sleeve and left. This time, he is no longer needed to probe the direction. Because, the various visions in the strange forest have pointed out the direction for almost everyone in the vicinity. The place where the cracking sound of the earth sounded was the source of this vision. Just half a minute later, after the two passed through a giant bush that was 3 or 4 meters high, they were immediately stunned by the sight in front of them. I saw that in front of them, there was a huge semicircular mask blocking their way. There is a touch of colorful light on the mask, which looks extremely dazzling. Inside the mask is a beautiful crescent-shaped lake. The blue water of the lake is crystal clear, and the lake surface is sparkling, shining with a faint brilliance like a diamond. And the most incredible thing for them is in the center of this crescent lake. An island that seemed to be made of the purest silver was quietly floating there, and it was this stunning silver light that lit up the entire lake. Completely strip it out of the deep, gloomy forest environment. It's like a fairyland isolated from the world and no one can walk. The two froze in place, staring blankly for a long time before they came back to their senses. What a beautiful island, it's like a fairyland. Su Lingyan sighed madly. Shu Lin was also full of emotion. Yeah. If this island can be moved back to the real world, wouldn't I achieve financial freedom in an instant? Quote. As soon as she heard this sentence, Su Lingyan suddenly changed from a girl's heart to a deep speechless. Baby school flower, have you seen the description of such a small island in the book? Shu Lin asked. Su Lingyan shook her head. No, but this small island should have just surfaced from the bottom of the lake. How do you know? Before I met you, I came here. At that time, the lake was ordinary and a little gloomy. I see. Shu Lin looked at the small island in the center of the lake thoughtfully. It seems that this opportunity is not so easy to take, at least we have to break this barrier. Saying that, Shu Lin stepped back dozens of steps, and his mind moved. Phantom Knife Dream Spirit, now. Wind Dream Spirit, now. Quietly, 8 jet black phantom flying knives appeared in Shu Lin's hands, and the power of pale red gust of wind entwined them, faintly exuding a trembling power. Go. With a low voice, Shu Lin sent force from his waist to his arms, and then to his wrists. He accurately aimed the 8-handled phantom flying knives at a small dot on the mask in front of him and threw them out. Shish! A few crackling sounds rang out. The 8-handled phantom flying knives flew through the air like a broken bamboo. Then, dang dang dang, there was a dull crashing sound in the crisp. Without exception, the 8 phantom flying knives were instantly bounced off by the mask. Shu Lin was surprised and looked closer to the mask with Su Lingen, who also had an incredible face. I saw that in the small dot that Shu Lin aimed at, there was a trace of cracks as thin as a cow's hair. Other than that, there was no trace. If you don't look carefully, you can't see it at all. With the perverted lethality that your flying knife can almost swept away in the apprentice martial artist realm, you only managed to knock out a single crack. Su Lingen's big eyes were full of doubts. When she was raising the sword to try it herself, Shu Lin stopped her. And many more. What's wrong? Su Lingen gave him a strange look. However, Shu Lin's mouth rose slightly, revealing a wicked smile that was very familiar to her. Don't bother, we can just sit back and wait. Su Lingen was used to it. What do you want to do? Shu Lin smiled mysteriously. Of course it's an old rule, trick them into killing them. Will your move not work? Now that such a big vision has appeared, it is estimated that the warriors around here will be extremely cautious. Su Lingen worried. No, I don't want to use the same trick for the second time, you're optimistic. Shu Lin sold out, his eyes flashing with a sly light. Another part of the bewildering forest. A burly man with a strong body and muscles all over his body was walking quickly and anxiously in the gray fog. He also saw the vision just now, and judging from the sound of the earth cracking, it seemed that it was not far from him. It's a pity that the terrain in this strange forest is complicated, and there are many beasts. He accidentally lost his way. Just when he felt annoyed that this opportunity was about to miss him again. In a bush in front of him, a faint red light was quietly floating there. Twinkling twinkling, it is particularly conspicuous in the dark forest filled with gray fog. This is a wild dream spirit. The burly man's eyes widened, and he immediately showed ecstasy. There are many ways to get dream spirits in the dream space, but most of them are in various chance rewards, and a few are parasitic in some beasts. Only in rare cases will you encounter pure wild dream spirits. Ha 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 ha, this time it's finally going to be developed. The burly man was full of indescribable excitement as he tiptoed towards the pale red dream spirit. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Just as he stretched out his hand, the power of chi and blood surged in his palm, ready to capture and seal this wild dream spirit in one fell swoop. Call out. The pale red dream spirit seemed to have noticed him, stretched out 2 short transparent wings from the round ball of light, fanned it, and disappeared in place. Gone. It's almost there. The burly man was so angry that he cursed, feeling that he had missed 100 million. But when he looked up, he was stunned again. Because the pale red dream spirit with wings did not escape far away. Instead, he was suspended in midair 3 meters away from him, flapping his small wings stupidly. Oh, I actually met a silly dream spirit. This time, let's see if I don't catch you. The burly man grinned, and a fierce tiger descended the mountain and rushed over. It was empty again. Pale red Mengeling flew more than 3 meters to the left, but still didn't go. Her wings flapped, as if she was watching his joke. Grass. I don't believe it anymore. So, the burly man chased 2 steps, the pale red Mengeling flew 2 meters, and repeated. Until, the burly man was led all the way to the huge bush. Whoosh! Gufeng Mengeling fluttered one of the short wings and made a spicy chicken gesture to the burly man, then turned into an afterimage and disappeared completely. This time, the burly man was stunned. He had never seen such an arrogant dream spirit. Wow ya, I'm so angry. The burly man only felt that his whole body was on fire. Peeling open the bushes fiercely, he was once again shocked by everything in front of him. Looking at the dazzling lake and the strange, silvery island that appeared in his eyes, the burly man could only feel the blood in his body burning. The anger played by Ji Yufeng Mengling turned into greed at this moment. Facing the mask blocking his progress, the burly man immediately launched a violent attack like a storm. The surging power of blood gushed out desperately. A left punch, a right punch, slammed into the mask ruthlessly. The bang 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 sounded incessantly. At the same time, in a hidden jungle in the blind spot of the burly man, Su Lingyan turned her head to look at Shu Lin, who was teasing Ji Yufeng Mengling, and fell into a long silence. Using dream spirits as bait is simply unbelievable. So, you are the real capitalist, right? The reason why Shu Lin took so much trouble was deliberate. According to his flying knife test, the hardness of this mysterious mask is far beyond imagination. Even if he used his own unique combination of dream spirits, Storm Blade, there is a high probability that the mask will be broken even once. Unless he is willing to continuously cast the Storm Blade by consuming a lot of energy and blood. But this is very risky. After all, the two previous chi and blood losses had left a deep impression on him. That kind of man can only say no situation, unless it is absolutely necessary, he will never want to experience it again. Otherwise, even if he broke the mask, what if the nearby dream warriors also arrived? At that time, I have become a soft-footed shrimp, and with the strength of the school flower alone, it may be no problem to face 3 or 5. But what if there were 7 or 8 or more warriors under siege? Isn't that a wedding dress for someone else? More importantly, the chance this time is extremely special and mysterious, and even his, all-knowing and all-powerful, school flower baby can't judge the specific situation. The risk is too great. We must let some diligent workers come to explore the way. For example, this stupid, brutish, burly man in front of him is very suitable. Look at his strong muscles, look at his fierce and greedy eyes, look at his sweaty hard work. Shu Lin was so moved that he almost burst out laughing. Another 3 minutes passed. Outside the mask, the burly man's attack speed and strength have shrunk significantly, and his blood power has been exhausted. Shu Lin hated iron and shook his head, and gave Su Lingyan a look. This worker is already useless, kill him. Su Lingyan received the message, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and she disappeared in place. What kind of thing is this cover made of? It can't be broken. The burly man was swearing and waving his fist slowly at this time. Just see. A young man walked out from the jungle beside him with a face full of pity. It's been hard work, are you tired? Would you like to eat some fruit to make up for it? Burly chap. Just when he showed a fierce face and wanted to repel this strange boy, a long sword quietly appeared behind him. Laugh. Middle waist. The burly man suddenly widened his eyes, and at the last moment he fell to the ground. He clearly saw the pale red dream spirit who was playing with him all the way, leaping out from the boy's side. The short little wings fanned, full of ridicule to him. Worries, you. The burly man was full of anger and died. Shu Lin sighed, silently took away the burly man's blood beads, and reached out to touch Gufeng Mengling's little wings. Go on, little guy. This time, remember to bring back a worker who lasted a little longer. Call. Gufeng Mengling can't speak, and can only use her small wings to gently flap her order. Then it turned into a red gust of wind and disappeared into the bushes. It's so cute. Shu Lin showed a kind and gratifying smile like an old father, and then took Su Lingyan's little hand in a familiar way. Let's go, school flower baby, let's continue to spend the first month. The hard work will be handed over to the single dogs. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Don't call me that disgusting name. Su Lingyan was stunned for a moment, her face flushed instantly, she subconsciously wanted to break free from his hand, but after a moment of hesitation, she gave up. Forget it, let him succeed once, just this time. Next time, dare to chop off his big pig's hoof. Time passed by minute. Gufeng Mengling went from being full of freshness and excitement at the beginning, to gradually boring, and then to complete numbness, and entered the sage mode. One after another, he led the ignorant workers and warriors one after another. It was suddenly dazed. As a noble dream spirit that countless warriors dream of, is this really what I should do? Shouldn't I follow the master to show his might and kill the quartet? Looking at the unlucky ones who were calculated by their masters and attracted by themselves, they seem to be no different. Woo woo woo. It turns out that the clown is actually me. For the first time in his life, Gufeng Mengling felt autistic. Next to him, the demonic voice of the unscrupulous master sounded again. Little Quangfang, darling, finally find someone to take advantage of. I promise it's really the last time, it's really true. If the dream spirit could speak, it would definitely spray the owner's dog head with the most hysterical voice at this time. You have said this sentence 8 times. Even Mengling lied. How crazy are you? Please, be yourself. However, Ji Yufeng Mengling did not speak. Therefore, it can only weakly fan its small sour wings, drag its weak light ball body, and fly in the gray fog of the bewildering forest with dazzling eyes. This time, it seems to have flown for a century, thinking about life, the philosophy of Menglingsheng. Until it saw an equally dejected gray dream spirit. Unlike any dream spirit it has ever seen, this dream spirit is so extraordinary, so different, and so bad. All over the body, there is an orphan temperament of birds flying in 1,000 mountains, and people disappearing in all directions. It seems that the beauty of the world is out of tune with it. It was like a walking dead, floating in the gray fog. How miserable. I like it so much. The gloomy heart of Gufeng Mengling was rekindled the moment he saw this gray dream spirit. It feels like it should do something. That's right, it is to let it accept its own bewitchment and become the master's next worker, making it even worse. In this way, he is no longer the most miserable and unremarkable dream spirit in this strange forest. Even, maybe I can get rid of the responsibility of running errands and become a big brother in the future. At least it must be the big brother of this latecomer Mengling. Ji Yufeng Mengling has no doubts about this. After all, the dejected and ashen little Mengling in front of him looks like a little brother who was born to run errands. Then, it was full of excitement and enthusiasm, flapping its short wings, and came to the gray dream spirit. What are you doing, bro? The gray dream spirit raised the round head of the ball of light blankly. Hey, who are you? Who? It's too late to explain so much, just follow me and take you to a good place. Ying, really, you won't lie to me. How is that possible? Big brother is not such an unscrupulous dream spirit. Hey, go. Gufeng Mengling fluttered its short wings and swept through the air in a trajectory that 6 relatives did not recognize. With the gray dream spirit, through the gray fog, through the bushes. They came to Shulin and Su Lingen, who were confused. Owner, the migrant worker was not found, and the migrant worker Mengling brought it back to you. If there are 2 words to describe Shulin's mood at this time. That's it, bewildered. If it were 4 words, it would be, very stupid. If it's 8 characters, it must be, I'm so stupid to hold your horse. Didn't find a hapless warrior, but found a wild hapless dream spirit. This is really outrageous. Awesome. Shu Lin can't wait to grab the short wings of Ji Yufeng Mengling and take a bite. Of course, now is not the time. Shu Lin was only stunned for a moment, and then he reacted immediately, stepping on his feet and disappearing in place like a ghost. Amazing step. As soon as Kuinen's ultimate meaning is displayed, Shu Lin appears in front of the equally dazed gray Mengling. Next second, in the sight of the gray dream spirit, a large hand with malicious intentions covered it. Snapped, forcibly stamped a seal on its sad forehead. Who am I? Where am I? What happened? When it finally realized that it had been deceived, it had been forcibly transformed into his shape by Shu Lin. In his ears, there was even an undisguised ridicule from Big Brother. Wow, ha, I've been deceived by me. Accept your fate, little one. You will be my little brother from now on. Gufeng Mengling frantically fanned its short wings and circled around it arrogantly. Gray Mengling, I have a sentence about MMP. I don't know if I should say it or not. At this time, after Shu Lin subdued the Mengling who was fooled by the gust of wind, the virtual panel in front of him flashed again. Withered Heart Dream Spirit referred to as Withered Heart Dream Spirit. Rare 1-star Dream Spirit. Amplification effect. None. Reduction effect. Provides withering reduction effect for all living beings around, including depression, sadness, despair, low self-esteem, and so on. Special talent. destroy it. I'm tired. Self-destruction of the body, causing a devastating blow to all substances within half a meter. The current power is equivalent to the self-destruction of the martial artist realm. Note: when Dry Heart Dreamling releases the destroy it. I'm tired talent, it will take 24 hours to rebuild the body, and this talent is an indiscriminate blow. Please use it with caution. After a quick scan of the information, Shulin fell into deep shock. There is actually such a wild dream spirit in the dream space. It's like a walking self-exploding mushroom cloud. Just look at this talent, the name alone seems so maverick. Thinking about it this way, it's fortunate that I just reacted fast enough, otherwise if the Dry Heart and Dream Spirit reacted, I would directly say, destroy it, I'm tired. Self-destruction from the martial artist realm. Hiss. Just thinking about that scene makes me feel sour. Shulin could not help breaking out in a cold sweat. But what followed was a burst of ecstasy at the harvest of such a rare dream spirit. The self-destruction power of the martial artist realm can at least instantly destroy a low-grade prosperous martial artist and seriously injure a high-grade martial artist. Coupled with his superb sneak attack level of throwing flying knives in the dark, Shulin is confident enough to fight a you die or you live with a formal martial artist. I die, non-existent. You may make a small profit, but I will never lose. On the side, Su Lingen, who witnessed the whole speechless incident, was truly speechless at this moment. It's too exaggerated, she has encountered a lot of strange things. But she had never seen such a bizarre thing that Mengeling could automatically abduct a wild Mengeling from outside. It can only be said that what kind of master there is, what kind of dream spirit will be cultivated. If I have children in the future, I must not let Shulin. Question mark. What the hell am I thinking about? What does having children have to do with Shulin? Su Lingen was frightened by her own terrifying subconscious and her body trembled. She quickly stabilized her mind and recited the Jingjing Sutra several times. It seems that almost all the unlucky warriors around here have been consumed by us. It's time to get down to business. On the side, Shulin, who had no idea about Su Lingen's strange thoughts, rubbed his hands together and said impatiently. In the past few hours, Gufeng Mengeling brought back 7 or 8 hapless warriors one after another. After waves of hard work by the workers, the originally indestructible bright mask was now dull and full of cracks, like a hard-boiled egg that was thrown to the ground. Poor little guy, since you've been caught up in the net, it's up to you. Come on, show your unique skills. In order to enable Cuxin Mengeling to develop the good quality of hard work as soon as possible, Shulin decided to use it to give the mask a fatal blow. Don't be impulsive, you can just go with or without letting you explode. Seeing the Dry Heart dreaming around the head of the ball of light, with a look of, destroy it. I'm tired, Shulin hurriedly stopped. While shouting, he dragged Su Lingen back to a safe area. Just in case the slumped little guy couldn't think of it, he blew himself up. Fortunately, after understanding Shulin's order this time, Cuxin Mengeling didn't mess around. On the contrary, the head of the small ball of light, which had been sullen and folded up, suddenly lifted up, and the gray light radiating from its whole body also brightened a bit. Jumping and running towards the mask. Is this feeling better? Shulin was keenly aware of the emotional changes of the Dry Heart Mengeling, and said a little surprised, is this little guy so emotional? At this time, Su Lingen on the side said, the Dry Heart Dream Spirit is an extremely rare and special dream spirit in the dream space. Don't look at it silly, in fact, its emotions are very delicate and rich, far exceeding the average one-star dream spirit. Probably like a human child, when it is in a better mood and recognizes its master more, its ability will be stronger. It must have just heard that you didn't let it explode, so it trusted you more, was in a better mood, and improved its ability. Shulin suddenly realized, no wonder Cuxin Mengeling's light became brighter. Dare to love this is a little guy who usually needs more coaxing. Then it was dejected at first, probably because it was fooled by the wind dream spirit, right? Thinking of this, Shulin turned to look at Ji Yufeng Mengeling, who was showing off his might, and said, remember to care more about your little brother in the future, don't bully it, and take care of it, do you hear? Quote. Hearing this, Quangfang Mengeling's cheerful little wings suddenly stopped flapping. At the same time, With its jumping pace, Dry Hard Mengling has come to the front of the mask. Following its footsteps, the green grass withered, the wildflowers withered. It perfectly realizes the amazing power of, no grass grows wherever it goes. I saw it gently shaking its gray ball of light head. Boom! A muffled sound hit the cracked mask. Immediately, the gray light carrying the power of withering all over his body followed his head and diffused over the mask. As if concentrated sulfuric acid was poured onto the iron sheet, white smoke appeared on the mask. The strong corrosion effect that comes with the withering ability instantly eroded a huge hole in the mask that was already on the verge of its limit. Little guy, nice job. Shu Lin's praise came from behind. The light around Cuxin Mengling brightened a little bit, and she returned to Shu Lin with shaking her head and bouncing around. Ying ying. With a pleasing cry from Dry Hard Mengling, it turned into a gray light and disappeared into Shu Lin's palm. Let's go. Shu Lin took Su Lingen's hand familiarly, walked through the big hole in the mask, and walked towards Crescent Lake. Su Lingen's cold face flushed slightly, but she didn't say anything. He and I are teammates. For the sake of chance, we go hand in hand. There is no problem at all. When they came to the lake, Shu Lin performed the dragon fighting step, while Su Lingen summoned the dream spirit of the wind and turned it into a breeze. The two took a light step, and their figures floated up with the breeze and crossed the lake. The silver-white brilliance in front of me is getting closer and closer. Until the moment they stepped on this silver island, the silver light was completely released. The two of them only felt their eyes flicker, and a strange light enveloped their bodies. Next moment, their figures disappeared in place, together with this small silver island that rose from the bottom of the lake. Silver trial. Start. Please kill all creatures that appear in the enchantment, within a 10-minute time limit. When Shu Lin opened his eyes again, Hongdae's indifferent voice came from his ears. At this time, he was in a strange space. The space is not large, about 500 square meters, and it is enveloped by a huge semicircular light cover. What he stepped on was no longer ordinary earth or soil, but a metal floor shimmering with silver luster. On top of the mask barrier directly opposite him, there is a huge bronze gate that is more than 10 meters high. If I have to describe it, Shu Lin thinks this is an alternative arena. Full of bloody brutality, only by killing non-stop can we survive in this place. Shu Lin looked around, then looked up, and found a timing board hanging above the mask above his head. 0 hours 10 minutes and 0 seconds. The time on the time card has not yet begun to change, presumably because the trial has not yet begun. I don't know how the school flower baby is doing now. Presumably, she should be experiencing a similar scene to herself now. Unexpectedly, this mysterious opportunity is actually the legendary dream trial. Shu Lin couldn't help but look forward to it. Before that, he had only heard of this special opportunity that existed in dreams. According to the dream knowledge he had made up for in the past 2 days, the dream trial was equivalent to the Tower of Challenges in online games. The more opponents you can beat, the richer the rewards. Of course, the further back you go, the stronger your opponent will inevitably be. After working for such a long time, it turned out to be a hard work again. I can only hope that the rewarding horse can be a little harder. Crack squeak. At this moment, the bronze door slowly opened, making an uncomfortable metallic rubbing sound. Ow! A howl like a wolf howl came from the door. Immediately, dang, dang, a silver-white giant wolf whose size was comparable to that of an adult tiger slowly walked out of the door. The fur all over its body was shimmering with the same silvery white brilliance as the ground beneath Shu Lin's feet, and a pair of wolf eyes were piercingly staring at Shu Lin not far away. And on its forehead, there is a silver imprint like a waning moon, which is extraordinarily extraordinary. The first order peak fierce beast, the silver moon giant wolf. When the bronze door was closed again, the silver moon giant wolf held its head high, and its huge body showed a streamlined beauty. The wolf eyes that looked at Shu Lin showed undisguised disdain. It seems to be saying that such a weak human being is also worthy of being my enemy. As the arrogance of the silver moon giant wolf, it was vividly displayed for a while. Seeing this, the surprise in Shu Lin's eyes dissipated a little, and he pouted at the silver moon giant wolf not far away. What are you looking at? Look at your father. Seemingly feeling Shu Lin's provocation, a trace of bloodthirsty cruelty flashed in the bright eyes of the silver moon giant wolf. Ow! He raised his head with a long hiss. The silver moon giant wolf stretched out his strong legs and charged towards Shu Lin. The silvery white wolf fur was extremely elegant in the wind. Seeing this, Shu Lin didn't panic at all. He slowly opened his hands and spit out a few words. Illusory knife dream spirit, now. Wind dream spirit, now. 2 balls of light, one black and one red, appeared instantly. A slender phantom flying knife was quietly suspended above Shu Lin's palm, and the blade was surrounded by violent hurricane power. Shu Lin stretched slightly, and threw a flying knife in an extremely elegant posture. Whoosh! The phantom flying knife turned into a black streamer and flew out. Hey! Accurately, it flew in from the grinning mouth of the silver moon giant wolf. Shish! The force of the gust of wind lingering on the phantom flying knife instantly turned into a meat grinder, violently destroying the internal organs of the silver moon giant wolf. Ouch! With a wailing sound, the silver moon giant wolf fell heavily to the ground and died with humiliation. As the absolute leader among the first-order beasts, it is enough to make the vast majority of apprentice martial artists feel fearful. It didn't even touch Shu Lin's clothes. Soon, the corpse of the silver moon giant wolf turned into a mass of silver white light and dissipated. In place, only a diamond-shaped blood-red crystal remained. Cut, isn't it just a little wolf? It still takes 10 minutes. Who are you looking down on? Shu Lin turned the flying knife at his fingertips with disdain, picked up the strange blood-red crystal, and opened his eyes of truth to take a look. First-order peak silver wolf blood crystal. The blood of the first-order peak beast is condensed, and it is currently in an unabsorbable state. It seems that the power of qi and blood cannot be replenished during the trial. Shu Lin immediately guessed the rules of the trial and shook his head slightly. That's it. The rewards are normal. How can such a big birth vision be just such an ordinary dream trial? Isn't it possible, this chance also likes to hide and seek? Shai Nima. Shu Lin is breathing fragrance. Crack squeak. The bronze gate in the distance slowly opened again. The bronze door opened again. In the darkness, 2 giant silver moon wolves held their heads high and walked slowly into the mask barrier. Overhead, the timer resets to 10 minutes and starts counting. 0 hours 9 minutes and 59 seconds. This time, Shu Lin lost interest in even a few words of mockery on the battlefield. The palms were spread out, and 2 phantom flying knives appeared. Next second, lean back, exert force on your waist, and throw out the flying knife. All in one go. Only the sound of kai and kai sounded as the flying knives cut through the air and pierced the flesh. Shish! The power of the gust of wind easily shattered the lives of the 2 silver moon giant wolves that had just been rebellious. At this moment, the timing board above the head just jumped to 0 hours 9 minutes and 58 seconds. In just 2 seconds, except for Shu Lin's slow raising of his hand, it took 1 second, and he achieved a real instant kill. Kill in 1 second. So, Shu Lin harvested 2 silver wolf blood crystals. With these 3 blood crystals, it was enough for him to successfully advance to the warrior realm after leaving the dream space. Soon, crack squeak, the bronze gate opened again. In the darkness, the 4 arrogant silver moon giant wolves have not yet poked their heads out of the darkness. They were greeted by 4 sonic booms that cut through the air. Hey, chi, chi, chi. Shish! The 4 phantom flying knives seemed to be precisely navigating, bursting their disdainful wolf eyes, and along the way, their brains were also turned into a paste. 4 silver wolves. The clock on the top of the head. Of course, pretending comes at a cost. Shu Lin had to trot a few steps, and before the bronze door could react, he retrieved 4 silver wolf blood crystals. After a brief pause in the enchantment, Shu Lin quickly and neatly killed 8 silver moon wolves that were too late to go out, and got 8 more blood crystals. Now, he has officially become a dream big money holding 15 silver wolf blood crystals. But just as he was about to wait for the next 16 silver moon wolves. Crack squeak. This time the bronze door just opened a gap, and there was a terrifying coercion on the front. Shish! Sounded. Shu Lin was like a frightened bird, turned into an afterimage, and retreated a dozen meters away, his eyes full of alertness and solemnity. This time, it seems unusual. I saw the door slowly opened, and a roar that made the entire silver ground tremble resounded through the barrier. Shu Lin's eyes widened suddenly. Lying. Trough. Now, in another enchantment. Chong. Su Lingyan bent down slightly, almost exhausted all the strength of qi and blood in her body, and smashed the silver-white longsword on the silver ground in her hand, struggling to support her body. Her beautiful face turned red, her forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat, and the power of qi and blood in her body was a little disordered due to the frantic mobilization. At the same time, shish, from the silver ground that the silver sword tip touched, a thin layer of ice crystal spread to most of the ring. An extremely cold air that is cold enough to the depths of the human soul instantly permeated the entire enchantment. Ka, ka. The crisp sound of ice crystal spreading and freezing sounded. Within a short distance of less than 2 meters from Su Lingyan, the 8-headed and ferocious silver moon giant wolf with blood-red eyes slowly froze in place. The whole body was covered with a frost of white ice crystals. Drink. Su Lingyan snorted softly, forced herself to stand up straight, and bit her lip with her silver teeth, dragging the silver-white longsword that weighed thousands of pounds with difficulty. Raise your hand, swing your sword. Every sword swing is like a slow-motion replay. The sword body trembled, with the unyielding will of the warrior, flickering cold light, beheading the wolf head of the silver moon giant wolf one after another. Boom! As the head of the last silver moon giant wolf was cut off by the sword light, Su Lingyan fell to the ground weakly, gasping for breath. From the first 2 or 3 rounds to easily kill the first silver moon giant wolf, to gradually difficult, until now. The silver moon giant wolf who can kill the 8 peak first order peaks has overdrawn all her qi and blood power. Su Lingyan didn't have any confidence to achieve such an impressive record. The appearance of the previous 4 silver moon giant wolves together had already plunged her into a fierce battle. It wasn't until the 10-minute clock was over with 30 seconds left before she could finish the kill. But when the 8 silver moon giant wolves appeared with a long howl, Su Lingyan not only did not despair, but was inspired by an unprecedented fighting spirit. At this moment, it is not that she has not thought about giving up. After all, with her state and ability, wanting to kill 8 silver moon giant wolves after killing 7 silver moon giant wolves in a row is no different from a fantasy. But, when that desperate, gloomy atmosphere enveloped her for a moment, suddenly, Shu Lin appeared in her mind. The figure is neither majestic nor tall. There is no similarity with the prince in the fairy tale and the domineering male protagonist in the movie. However, it was his frivolous, wicked smile that was on his lips all day long. As if the sky fell and he wouldn't care. Yes, Shu Lin will definitely say, the sky is falling and there are tall people on it, so let's go home and sleep. PFF'd. Su Lingyan's pale and pretty face burst into a smile, and a new power surged up from her body that was on the verge of its limit. She is not reconciled. The perverted guy Shu Lin probably finished his work in an understatement long ago, and he might even complain that the difficulty is too low. Can't lose. At least not so easy to admit defeat. Su Lingyan was not reconciled. She was not reconciled to being called a genius, but she could only do this. She is no longer willing to be just a genius in Little Devil City No. 1 middle school. She wanted to take a step forward, even if she couldn't be as evil as Shu Lin, at least she couldn't be left behind by him. She once said to cover up that unruly bad guy. Don't stop here. Absolutely not. When Su Lingyan's dejected eyes suddenly burst out with a terrifying fighting spirit, she smashed out that earth-shattering sword. She did it. Completed the leap from genius to evildoer. She used up the last of her blood. Now, Su Lingyan lay limply on the cold silver ground. A pair of dark eyes stared at the timing board that started to beat again after a brief pause above her head. Her expression was extremely dull. She had done everything she could to get close to him. This time, in death, she will no longer have any fear and despair. Crack squeak. The harsh opening sound of the heavy bronze gate in the distance came again. A long howl that was terrifying enough to shake the soul came from afar. Den. The ground beneath him trembled violently and let out a dull whimper. After all, Su Lingyan still showed a hint of helplessness. She felt the breath of death that was slowly approaching. It was an existence that even in her heyday she could not resist. In other words, it is simply not an existence that a trainee martial artist can contend with. In such a perverted trial, it is estimated that only the more perverted guy has a chance to win. Come on. In the last time, Su Lingyan silently prayed for Shu Lin in her heart. Then, she slowly closed her eyes, waiting for death to come. Shu Lin was stunned. He had never seen such a big wolf before. The gigantic size of an adult elephant was almost squeezed out of the bronze gate. The silver wolf in front of him has almost the same appearance and features as the previous silver moon giant wolf, but its size has almost doubled. The flowing silver-white wolf fur on its back almost matches the huge wings of an eagle soaring in the sky. If those silver moon giant wolves killed by Shu Lin stood in front of it, they would at most be the little ones of their descendants. The only difference in appearance is the silver moon mark on its forehead. Different from the crescent moon shape of the silver moon giant wolf, it is a natural full moon and full moon. The silver brilliance floated out from its full moon mark, almost covering the entire enchantment with a layer of bright moonlight. And under the moonlight, its wolf eyes the size of a copper bell were full of arrogance, raised its wolf head slightly, and howled to the sky. Ow! Woo! In an instant, the mansion Yuehua seemed to have been summoned by some sort of summons, and gathered again and shone on it, a wolf. It is like the Wolf King who is independent from the top of the mountain on the night of the full moon and howls to the moon. Silver Moon Wolf King. It turned out to be the boss of those little wolf cubs, no wonder he is so handsome. You can pretend better than me. Shu Lin withdrew his astonishing gaze, and the soul of spit in his heart couldn't hold back again. Little darlings, this pretend Wolf King to death for me. This amazing scene, Shu Lin, who was so angry that he wanted to pretend, but never got the point, breathed a fragrance. With a grasp of both hands, 8 phantom flying knives suddenly appeared. Gufang Mengeling was already hungry and turned into a blood-colored hurricane, dancing around the blade. The wind of fury. In an instant, a blood-red gust of wind erupted and roared. Just hear a swoosh. 8 phantom flying knives floated out, passing strange arcs in the air. One scattered into 8, forming a line of bloody afterimages. In the blink of an eye, it penetrated the layers of space, pointing directly at the most vulnerable pair of wolf eyes of the Silver Moon Wolf King. Ow! But I saw that the Silver Moon Wolf King let out another long whistle, and the bright and clean moonflowers in the sky instantly fell, like pearls falling on a jade plate. The silver-white moonlight condensed into a bead-like curtain of light, impartial, just before the flying knife's trajectory. Bang! 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 A series of crisp knocks sounded. A handle of flying knives was bombarded by this seemingly paper-thin moonlight curtain one after another. It wasn't until the 7th flying knife burst out that it pierced the moonlight curtain with a slight crack, and then fell powerlessly to the ground. Break! With a sharp piercing sound. The 8th and last illusory flying knife finally broke through the last hurdle. However, what greeted it was the disdain that was pulled from the corner of the Silver Moon Wolf King's mouth and boom! Under Shu Lin's stunned gaze, the Silver Moon Wolf King opened his bloody mouth and bit the phantom flying knife that came straight at him. It was actually the life that bit the illusory flying knife into pieces. This is so, the mouth is so good. Chicken taste, is it crunchy? Shu Lin swallowed hard and said. Obviously, the Silver Moon Wolf King in front of him is a second-order beast comparable to a human warrior. Not only that, it seems to have a mysterious talent that can summon the silver moonlight and condense it into a shield. Even the self-created dream spirit combination skill that has been tried and tested against all kinds of beasts, Storm Blade. All failed. Shu Lin was a little unresponsive for a while. The enemy is too ferocious, and his methods seem to be a little weak. After all, Shu Lin has always adhered to the steady policy of being able to attack from a distance and never close combat. With the illusory flying knife and gusty wind dream spirit, it can be said to be a trick to eat all over the sky. No other means are needed at all. More importantly, in the martial arts apprentice realm, it is almost impossible to find a more destructive means than the Blade of the Storm. But this time, this trick was so easily destroyed. Shu Lin suddenly felt that his skills were poor. And many more. Did you miss a little guy you just captured? Dry-hearted dreamer. Almost forgot about this little guy. This time, Shu Lin's thoughts became clear. Look for opportunities. Get it. In the next few minutes, Shu Lin tried to avoid the fierce attack of the Silver Moon Wolf King while using the dragon and leaping steps, while looking for an opportunity to get close and not be attacked. No way, although Cuxin Mengeling's talent is buggy, its flaws are also obvious. 1. The movement speed is too slow, and the damage range is only half a meter. 2. Innate skills belong to indiscriminate attacks. It is easy to damage the enemy 1000 and self-destruct 8000. Another most important reason is that Shu Lin didn't really want to directly use the ultimate mystical talent of Kuxin Mengling. Although this move is indeed amazing, the cooling time is too long, and it takes a whole day and night for the dry heart dream spirit to recover. It is only suitable as a bottom-of-the-box ultimate move in a real desperate moment, not an ordinary ultimate move. Who knows if there will be more perverted guys in this strange silver trial, and we must think of a foolproof plan. It can increase the lethality of its own skills, but it is not a one-time thing. At this moment, Shu Lin's brain was running frantically, thinking about every possibility, and almost all the ways of combining skills were simulated in his mind. Just like when he was chased by the school flower baby in the martial arts club's training room, his imagination and creativity surged again. Finally, Shu Lin thought of something, and the corner of his mouth swept up quietly. Amazing step. Shu Lin let out a low voice in his heart, and the power of qi and blood in his body suddenly surged out, and his body that was like a wandering dragon exploded to a new level in an instant. He turned into an afterimage and disappeared directly into the sight of the Silver Moon Wolf King. It wasn't until the distance was drawn that Shu Lin turned around to face the Silver Moon Wolf King again, his hands spread out again, and his eyes were extremely focused. He's going to make a bold attempt. Facing the Silver Moon Wolf King, a large part of the reason why the Storm Blade has had little effect is that the sharpness of the phantom flying knife itself and the firmness of the blade are not enough. Especially the degree of sturdiness is far from enough. When encountering a fierce beast whose physical strength exceeds the table, it will be easily destroyed. So, Shu Lin wants to try to improve it. It's still the phantom flying knife, it's just that these 8 are combined into one. It's not like changing the shape of the knife, is it? Huan Dao Mengling, you have to fight for me. Shu Lin murmured softly, and summoned the phantom sword dream spirit again. The ball of light with 3 dark black hairs was constantly changing in Shu Lin's palm, as if to break free from the usual changing shape. For a long time, the magic sword dream spirit has been lying flat, and mechanized the production of a magic spirit flying knife with substandard but barely sufficient handles. But at this moment, it was shoved out of bed by Shu Lin, instilling a series of strict production requirements. By the way, gave it a brainwashing. Young Mengling should work hard. Continuous innovation and progress are the blessings of Mengling. Being a dreamer, if you don't fight for your master, it's better to go home and raise pigs. Young Mengling doesn't work hard, and old Mengling gets ridden. Under the pressure of Shu Lin, the unscrupulous party A. Magic Sword Mengling could only tearfully accept the blessing that belonged to it, and worked overtime to revise the plan. Trying to complete the transformation from an assembly line working dream spirit to a craftsman level working dream spirit. Finally, after a flash of black light that almost changed to the point of becoming perverted, a brand new phantom flying knife is slowly born. It was still that small and slender phantom flying knife, but the overall breadth is far more condensed than before. On the blade of Zanhe, there are a lot of nuanced and mysterious lines, like some kind of special inscription. The blade is sharper, and the faint murderous aura is suffocated. If the previous phantom flying knife was an assembly line product, so now this 8-in-1 phantom flying knife is a blood-soaked work carefully polished and forged by top craftsmen. To say it was crying blood was nothing. In order to fulfill Shu Lin's strict requirements, he worked so hard that he even lost the 3 black hairs on the light ball's head. The phantom flying knife trembled slightly in Shu Lin's palm, like a whimper of resentment. Shu Lin quickly comforted and touched the smooth handle of the knife and said, "It's okay, you've become bald and stronger." Phantom Knife Mengling. With this enhanced version of the phantom flying knife, Shu Lin finally had stronger confidence in the ultimate move he prepared next. That's right, squeeze the magic knife dream spirit to forge a stronger flying knife is only the first step. As a qualified capitalist, master, Shu Lin always pays attention to the rain and the dew. Come out, little guy, it's your turn. Shu Lin thought silently in his heart. A gray light slowly emerged from beside him, condensing into a sad little gray ball of light. Dry-hearted dreamer. Being summoned again, Kuxin Mengling was extremely excited, and the little ball of light jumped onto Shu Lin's shoulders and rubbed him intimately. Good, really good. Shu Lin smiled to soothe the dry heart and Mengling, and then raised his hand. Gufeng Mengeling fluttered its unique short wings and appeared on Shu Lin's palm. The magic knife dream spirit, the dry heart dream spirit, and the wind dream spirit are all assembled. At this time, the Silver Moon Wolf King, who had lost his way, also recaptured Shu Lin's position. His blood-red eyes flashed with disdain, and he came screaming. The silver-white moonlight curtain closely followed its head, providing blessings for it. Seeing this situation, Shu Lin did not delay any longer. With a thought, the gust of wind dreaming suddenly turned into a blood-colored hurricane and lingered on the phantom flying knife again. Afterwards, Shu Lin turned his head to look at the withered heart Mengeling jumping on his shoulders, and said softly, "Little guy, this time it's up to you." "Hey!" Dry heart Mengeling's big ball of light nodded desperately. Immediately, he took a leap and jumped onto the slender body of the phantom flying knife. He turned back and snorted at Shu Lin, indicating that he was ready. Shu Lin nodded in relief. The energy of qi and blood all over his body suddenly exploded, frantically surging, and the rich blood qi almost overflowed from his body. "This time, let's see if you die." Shu Lin's eyes froze abruptly, and he gripped the handle of the brand new illusory flying saber tightly, and the power of qi and blood poured into the blade continuously along his arm. "Go!" The moment the voice fell, the phantom flying knife turned into a streamer, chasing stars and moons, and hurried away. Not far away, the Silver Moon Wolf King looked at the former defeated general. His blood-red wolf eyes were full of contempt, his nose twitched slightly, and he snorted in disdain. "Ow woo!" Raising the wolf's head, the Silver Moon Wolf King once again began to summon the power of the full moon. But at this moment, the ever-approaching, lightning-fast phantom flying knife was already within half a meter of the Silver Moon Wolf King. Withered heart Mengeling stared at the Silver Moon Wolf King, snorted dissatisfied, and the withering power all over his body was suddenly released, and the gray light was prosperous. A negative emotion that was enough to make all life in the world feel autistic, hopeless, and sad instantly enveloped the Silver Moon Wolf King. Almost in an instant, the blood-red color in the eyes of the Silver Moon Wolf King suddenly faded, and a trace of days began to be born. Soon, the days turned to melancholy. In his mind, his childhood suddenly appeared. At that time, it was still a little wolf cub the size of an old sow. Because of its small size, it would be bullied by other Silver Moon giant wolves all day long. At that time, it swore a poisonous oath that one day, it would become the king of the Silver Moon Wolf clan. Violently clean up those Silver Moon giant wolves who bullied it, rob their wives, beat their wolf cubs, and eat their prey. But I never imagined that it would finally become the Silver Moon Wolf King after going through a lot of hardships, and it would be greeted by the annihilation of the Silver Moon Wolf clan. Woohoo! I'm so hard. Thinking of this, the Silver Moon Wolf King couldn't help but feel grief from his heart. How could he have any thoughts to summon Yuehua's blessing? Summon a fart. I finally became a Wolf King, and I didn't even taste the taste of a female wolf, so I was caught in this ghost place. Just as Mantian Yuhua had condensed halfway in front of the Silver Moon Wolf King, he was interrupted by him. When the Silver Moon Wolf King finally reacted that something was not right, what greeted it was a flying knife streamer close at hand. As for Dry Heart Dream Spirit, it had successfully completed the special task Shu Lin had given it, got off the bus at the station, and jumped off the Phantom Spirit flying knife. Seeing that the younger brother who needs to be cared for has left, Ji Yufeng Mengeling has no scruples at all. The wind of fury, a violent blood-colored tornado roared, and the speed of the phantom flying knife rose again. Shish! Only a terrifying sonic boom was heard. The blood-colored streamer incarnated by the phantom flying blade instantly disappeared into the blood of the Silver Moon Wolf King, smashed the sharp fangs, and directly smashed into the old nest. Shish! Under the unbelievably frightened eyes of the Silver Moon Wolf King, the upgraded version of the phantom flying knife stabbed it thoroughly, and by the way, helped it clean its internal organs. Ouch! After uttering the last cry of Langsheng, the Silver Moon Wolf King's eyes darkened and he fell to the ground and died. Ha! It's finally dead. Shu Lin summoned the three little guys back, and after giving a good compliment and encouragement, he let out a long sigh of relief. At this moment, the body of the Silver Moon Wolf King gradually dissipated. On the spot, in addition to a Wolf King blood crystal the size of a pigeon egg, there was actually a silver-white elf floating quietly on the spot. This is Dream Spirit. Shu Lin reacted at once. turned into an afterimage, and grabbed the silver-white Mengeling, who was still in a dazed state. Compared to his three little guys, this dream spirit is extremely extraordinary. The first is the size. This silver-white dream spirit is not a stereotyped light ball shape, but has hands, feet, and a small crescent-shaped head. It's like a pixie from an anime. In addition, its body is more solid than its three little guys, not so illusory, and the silver-white light emanating from its body is even more dazzling. Shu Lin couldn't wait to open the Eye of Truth and took a picture of the silver-white Mengeling, and immediately became happy. It's actually a two-star dream spirit. Moon's Blessing Dream Spirit, referred to as Moon Blessing Dream Spirit. Two-star dream spirit. Amplification effect. Provide the host with a light of moonlight that covers the whole body, slightly improve basic attributes such as strength, agility, defense, and the increase is multiplied in the dark. Special talent. Guardian of the Silver Moon. Condensing all the light of the moonlight to form a shield of silver moon, bless the host's body, a very small probability can trigger a 100% rebound effect. No wonder I think this silver moon wolf king is much more difficult to deal with than that steel-clawed monitor lizard. It turns out that even if they are both second-order beasts, there are rich and poor. After reading the introduction, Shu Lin felt a little emotional. It is definitely an unexpected joy to be able to harvest such a two-star dream spirit. And from the perspective of boosting attributes and talent skills, Yu Mengeling is definitely the most suitable two-star dream spirit for him today. The increase of all attributes and the guardian of the silver moon with explosive defense are enough to make him ruthlessly cross a large section on the road of Yinbi. Not only can I sneak up on you, but you can't beat me, are you angry? Official promotion, old silver coins. Just after Shu Lin picked up the blood crystal of the silver moon wolf king with a wicked smile, the bronze door in front of him opened again. But this time, the inside of the door was no longer pitch dark, and no beasts came out. A beam of light penetrated from the other end of the door, as if leading to another space. At the same time, from the other side of the door, there was a faintly familiar voice. Hearing the voice, Shu Lin's eyes froze suddenly, and the smile on the corner of his mouth disappeared instantly. School flower baby. Without any hesitation, the moment Shu Lin blurted out, his figure disappeared. In an instant, he had passed through the bronze gate and entered another space, which was on the silver arena where Su Lingen was standing. Ow! A silver moon wolf king that was slightly smaller than the one he faced just now was screaming at the moon. Above its head, there is also a frosty white moonflower floating down. The wolf's mouth opened, revealing a mouth of pale and sharp fangs, and a cold and bone-piercing moonlight beam quickly condensed. Ah! The place where the moonlight beam pointed was Su Lingen, who collapsed on the ground and slowly closed her eyes to meet her death. Su Lingen felt the terrifying aura that was so cold that it almost made her shiver deep in her soul. But her mood was strangely calm. No fear, no regrets, and no setbacks. She has done her best to achieve a record that countless apprentices can't even imagine, but in the end, she conquered her former self. That Su Lingen, who was known as a genius. She has completed the transformation, or sublimation. Even though she eventually fell on this trial arena, she did not admit defeat. Just after doing my best, I accepted the result calmly. When I think about it, it seems that I haven't experienced the feeling of dying in a dream for a long time. It's all because of that guy. I don't know how he is now. Boom. There was an earth-shattering sound in the ear. Is it finally over? Su Lingen sighed slightly in her heart, her eyelashes trembling slightly. She wants to open her eyes and face this death. She will keep the humiliation of this failure firmly in her heart. However, when she plucked up her courage and opened her eyes, what she saw was not the moonlight beam that destroyed her life, but a young boy's face that was slightly pale with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Shu Lin, why are you here? Su Lingen was stunned for a moment, and said softly. Immediately, she saw the moonlight beam in front of Shu Lin that bombarded him directly. It was Shu Lin who took the fatal blow for her. For a moment, seeing Shu Lin's pale face as white as paper, Su Lingen's tears welled up in her eyes, like a curtain of crystal beads hanging down. She couldn't stop it. Not knowing where the strength came from, Su Lingen Yinya bit her thin lips, struggled to get up, and threw herself into Shu Lin's arms. On the beautiful face, the pear blossoms bring rain. Are you stupid? Why are you blocking this for me? Are you stupid, Shu Lin? Who allowed you to die for me? At the same time, Shu Lin, who was enjoying Xiangyu's embrace, blinked, his face full of question marks. He looked at Su Lingyan with tears in his arms. Then he looked at Yu Mengling, who was shining with silver and white light in front of him and resisted all the attacks of the Silver Moon Wolf King. Ah, this. The school flower baby thought I gave up my life to save her. Is it going to die? Ha ha ha, how is that possible? Of course, the free benefits could not be ignored. Shu Lin, a veteran of the free whoring party, quickly put his arms around Su Lingyan's delicate body. The voice was very weak and comforted. It's okay, for you, I'm willing. Shu Lin, woo woo, you. Su Lingyan was so moved that her heart almost melted. She raised her head to look at Shu Lin one last time, but the two looked at each other affectionately for a long time. Huh, why are you still alive? Ah, because I have better endurance. Then why did your face become more and more rosy? Cough cough. Back to the light and back to the light. Seeing Shu Lin snickering at the corner of her mouth, Su Lingyan realized that she had been deceived. She was so angry that she had strength at the time, and the deep emotion in her eyes immediately turned into raging anger. Shu, come. Shu Lin covered her injured ear and quickly helped Su Lingyan aside. Humph, fool Shu Lin. Su Lingyan turned her head and spat at him angrily, but after hesitating for a while, she turned around again with a worried voice. That, fool. Be careful, it's the first second-order beast, and it seems to be carrying some kind of powerful dream spirit. Don't be brave. If you really can't, just run, don't be stupid and die with me. Shu Lin smiled when he heard it. Don't worry. As soon as there is a situation, I will immediately retreat and sell my teammates. I will never look back. Su Lingyan, as expected, it's still you. After having the experience last time, Shu Lin was more at ease in the face of the Silver Moon Wolf King, who was obviously weaker. Under the blessing of Yuehua, the blessing of the moon, all aspects of his body's attributes have increased by at least 50%. Even if he didn't use the astonishing dragon step, he still carried afterimages as he moved. Of course, this does not mean that Shu Lin will turn to melee with the Silver Moon Wolf King. Melee, shopping, non-existent. In this life, I can only live by throwing knives, sneak attacks, and yin dream warriors who are free or not. After the Silver Moon Wolf King's attention was completely drawn to himself, Shu Lin repeated his old trick. The three dream spirits were smashed out again. Rest what rest? Time to work overtime, baby. Then, with the consciousness of working as a worker, the three Mengelings went into battle again. The phantom flying knife carried the terrifying blessing of the roaring wind, turned into a bloody light, and swept through the air. On the blade, Dry Heart Mengeling started its performance again. Stop resisting. Look at your petite body. What qualifications do you have to be a wolf king? Don't you want to miss your sad wolf life? Single quote. Go ahead and capture it. Single quote. Under the heart-wrenching and heart-piercing withering speech of Dreaming Heart, the Silver Moon Wolf King fell into despair and collapse. Hey, knife into the body. The blood-colored wind destroys everything. The Silver Moon Wolf King II dissipated in the air with its heavy heart so sad that it vomited. On the spot, another two-star dream spirit burst out. Different from Shu Lin's Yu Mengeling, although this Mengeling also had a waning moon-shaped head of light, the mysterious light emanating from its body was slightly pale. A gloomy and cold aura permeated its entire body. It seems to be a moon-type dream spirit that only carries the ice attribute. It just fits the school flower baby. Could it be that this is a kill reward specially tailored for the challenger's attributes in the silver trial? Then why did you prepare a defensive dream spirit for me? Do I look like the kind of warrior who needs to hide in a corner and be beaten passively? Pooh, spicy chicken trial. Shu Lin complained very dissatisfiedly, and then smashed Meng Ling in front of him and sealed it for the time being. The attributes of this dream spirit are of little use to him, so naturally it is reserved for the school flower baby with a higher degree of fit. If the school flower baby doesn't want it, put it in her mouth and let her have it. Joke. If you don't become stronger, how can you charge ahead? Then how can I happily prostitute behind you, throwing flying knives? Just when Shu Lin and Su Lingyan thought that the silver trial was over and everything was settled. Crack. The soft sound of a gear turning came from above the two of them. Shu Lin looked up suspiciously, his eyes suddenly changed, and the smile on the corner of his mouth froze instantly. I see. The timing card hanging at the top of the barrier turned into 10 minutes again, and began to beat again. 0 hours 9 minutes and 59 seconds. 0 hours 9 minutes and 58 seconds. 0 hours 9 minutes and 57 seconds. At the other end of the trial arena, the bronze gate slowly closed. The two were locked in the ring. This time, there are no beasts. There were only two solitary people left in the ring facing each other. The clock board began to beat. The trial continues. 0 hours 8 minutes and 57 seconds. Time passed by minute by minute. The dry screeching of the gears was constantly heard on the clock. The countdown kept beating. Shu Lin doesn't know what will happen when the countdown reaches 0. Trial failed, being obliterated by the trial and taking back all the spoils. Or should there be some horrible punishment? If it is an ordinary dream trial, the high probability is the first, and the small probability is the second. But for this weird silver trial, let alone Shu Lin, a scumbag, is not clear. Even Su Lingen, the god of learning, didn't dare to make a deal. Just because, at least in the dream data that she has permission to read, she has never seen even the slightest bit of content about this silver trial. And her authority comes from her father, who is the director of the General Bureau of Martial Arts in the Magic Capital. The entire Magic Capital martial arts world, except for top universities such as Mowu, is not under his control. All other matters related to martial arts are under his control. Su Lingen couldn't imagine the earth-shattering content that even a big man like his father did not have permission to view. So the high probability is that this mysterious silver trial has never been seen before. In the situation they encountered at the moment, there was no previous experience for reference. They are the first witnesses of the silver trial. I remember that when I first entered this trial, there was a voice who told the rules of the trial. Su Lingen broke the silence and spoke. Kill all creatures that appear in the enchantment within a 10-minute time limit. This must be the only rule of the silver trial. Shu Lin didn't speak, he also recalled. Since entering this silver trial, only that voice has been heard once. Since then, the bronze gates have been opened and the beasts have been released. Until he killed the Silver Moon Wolf Queen, there seemed to be no more beasts inside the bronze gate. In other words, the trial of killing the beast has ended. Next, it is the part where the warriors fight. The two of them, from beginning to end, only one of them can complete all the trials alive. Silver trial, there is no win-win. So, the two people with the same joint were silent again. On the icy silver arena, only the timing board above the head kept beating, making a hoarse sound of wheel shaft turning. It seems that somewhere, there is a person with an indifferent face watching the two of them, opening his mouth and making a hoarse sneer. It reverberated in the entire enchantment. Shu Lin, kill me. It was still Su Lingen who spoke first. Her clear eyes looked at Shu Lin calmly, her long black hair was draped over her shoulders, and her cold pretty face was slightly white due to the excessive loss of qi and blood. Shu Lin suddenly laughed. Ha 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 ha. He laughed very openly, the corners of his mouth grinned in an exaggerated arc, and the laughter grew louder and louder. Seeing a worry in Su Lingen's eyes. Shu Lin, don't scare me. Shu Lin, don't think too much, it's not that I'm really going to die, it's just a dream death, it's alright. We are teammates. When you get a reward, it means I get it, the same, ooh. Su Lingen comforted her nervously, for fear that Shu Lin couldn't think of it for a while. Who would have thought that she was just halfway through when she was hugged by Shu Lin and took a savage sip? Ha 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 ha, school flower baby, you are amazing. I love you to death. Before she could react, the first kiss had already been taken away. Shu Lin turned his head and let go of her, with a phantom flying knife condensed in his hand, with a flick of his hand. The phantom flying knife turned into a stream of light, heading straight for the timing board above his head. Ha 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 ha, go to the rules of Nima. Die for the Lord. It's over, Shu Lin is crazy. Su Lingen's pretty face was full of red, but she didn't even have the slightest idea of being angry. She stared blankly at the phantom flying knife getting closer and closer to the clock, and there was only one thought in her mind. My teammates were driven crazy by the dream trial, and they forced me to kiss. How to do? Online waiting. Very urgent. Intel. Bang. A loud noise. The moment when the timing card was completely destroyed by the phantom flying knife and turned into fragments in the sky. The picture in front of him suddenly shattered. At the moment of the shattering, Su Lingyan seemed to hear a surprised whisper. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Immediately afterwards, she was stunned by the changes in front of her. I see. The original silver ring is gone. The enchantment also disappeared. The bronze gate is even more disappeared. There was a damp and soft touch of the soil under their feet, and they returned to the island in the middle of the lake. However, this time on the island, there is no splendor and luxury that is covered with silver everywhere. It turned into a small, unremarkable floating island. The illusory brilliance of the sky has faded away, but it has a bit of a return to nature. Surrounded by a quiet and distant bamboo forest. They were standing on a path in the bamboo forest, and in front of them, deep in the bamboo forest, a group of silver light was quietly suspended in midair. Seems to be waiting for them. Shu Lin, what's going on? Su Lingyan looked blankly at Shu Lin beside her. Shu Lin grinned. Do you still remember the most mysterious legend in the dream space that is most talked about by countless warriors? Legend. Su Lingyan was stunned, not understanding what Shu Lin meant. But soon, a name flashed in her mind that she had never dared to think of. This name made her cold face full of surprise and inconceivable in an instant. Shu Lin, don't you want to say this is blessed by the Holy Spirit? Shu Lin nodded and continued with a smile. Hiss. Su Lingyan took a breath almost subconsciously, and was so surprised that she tightly covered her mouth with two small fair hands. No way. She squeezed a few words out of her fingers, but she still couldn't believe it. How can you be sure? Shu Lin heard this and gave her a meaningful smirk. Of course it's all thanks to my school flower baby. It turned out that when Su Lingyan said the words that made Shu Lin kill her. Next to Shu Lin's ear, a prompt sound came again. Ding. Detected that your compatibility with Su Lingyan has increased. Current fit, 50%. Congratulations, the bond of teammates has been improved, and the bonus of chi and blood has increased by 10%. The bonus of comprehension has increased by 10%. The current fit has reached 50%, trigger the crit bonus. Congratulations, your primary eye of truth has been successfully advanced to an intermediate eye of truth. Intermediate eye of truth. Function. When exploring the dreamland, you can accurately detect the situation hidden in the gray fog and the opportunity of the secret world. Current range, 50 meters. For the situation at the time, this advanced intermediate eye of truth was nothing short of helping in the snow. It is no longer limited to exploring the gray fog, and even the opportunity of the secret realm can directly gain insight into the truth. Thus, Shu Lin directly opened the eyes of truth to the entire enchantment. And he also came up with a piece of information that shocked him. Don't be blinded by illusion, smash it. Smash that peeping eye. The blessing of the Silver Holy Spirit is waiting for you. This so-called silver trial is just an illusory pretense. The mysterious opportunity born from this unprecedented vision is actually the blessing of the Holy Spirit that only exists in legends. And he looked around for the peeping eye in the prompt, but only saw the malicious clock. So Shu Lin shot. As it turns out, he too was right. Let's go. Let's see what's so powerful about this legendary blessing of the Holy Spirit. Shu Lin skillfully pulled up Su Lingyan's little hand and walked side by side towards the silver brilliance in the depths of the bamboo forest. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.